like probably 8 stick cheese wrappers.
Yeah, I ate a lot of string cheese last night.
The string cheese incident?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Except for we
it
get
was
the
extra
Gouda
sharp.
kind. We get. I thought it was Gouda. Both.
Both. Yeah.
Oh, man, you got to go with all the cheeses.
We love cheese.
I went 3 Goudas and 3 extra sharps.
Oh, there's only 6.
Oh,
There may
yeah.
have been more than that didn't end up in the bathroom trash can.
So is that where you keep your cheese? The bathroom trash can?
I'll open them in the bed, eat them in the bed, throw the wrapper on the floor, and then the next morning I'll wake
I
up and
do
gather them
remember.
and put them in the trash
I
can.
do remember last night I was trying to get to sleep and I kind of like halfway
What's going on with
woke
the
up.
crinkling paper?
And
Can
I
you
was
make
like-
that stop thing?
I was like, Jesus,
I got-
Cameron, can you unwrap that thing already? Fuck. Like,
I still got another one to
wait.
go.
Oh, are there cuss words we can't say?
No, fuck that.
Okay.
No, we are, yes, we are good. We are marked as explicit on the YouTube. Speaking of this, not only YouTube, but the Podomatic, these wonderful voices that you hear, listeners, that you have not heard yet are Cameron Nesbitt and Gentry Rose. Is that officially, can I say that, or is that just your Facebook titles?
No, that's my name. Those are my names.
Those are my names.
Jesus.
Government name.
The wonderful Perlino, and me and Jeff. You guys have heard us speak of these guys because we talked about this with talked about you guys with Jeff and Jen. I think when they were
Apron
here.
Strings.
The Apron Strings, indeed, which is just a great name.
Yeah.
Oh, what a fine day! So we are completely going off the grid today. We're not doing any bullet points. We are just going to be talking about things. So, how in the world is the world? What do you think of it? What's your take on it?
I'm sitting in it, man. I'm sitting in it.
Just watching it all go down.
Well, I'm trying to here recently, specifically be more introspective and
That's always clever.
yeah, just really trying to break down how I feel about things and why I feel that way.
What is it? What's bringing all that on?
Me being a pain in her ass.
Recycle your plastics, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes. They make straws out of paper now.
So, that's fucking hilarious.
Well,
But
well.
retort.
I did it. Well, I did this first. So I bowed out of being a pain in the ass first.
Yeah.
Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's definitely
So
a very conscious
I
person.
bowed out. I was not conscious about it either. So
Oh,
but
I was the same way.
so I bowed out, and now I'm just being patient.
That's the best thing to be. I've learned. Like I was, and all listeners know this, but we fight a lot in cornbread, and we have over the years. And I like after this last year, when we had one big meltdown a couple months ago, I'm just like, you know what? I could put all of this negative energy into this if I want to, but this is not going to do me any good.
Yeah, right.
So I don't know. That's a hard fucking point to get
It's
to,
crazy.
though.
But if you
Jesus.
think about how much time you're wasting, like, so I used to have like really, really bad anxiety problems, like super bad.
Yeah.
And typically everything that I would catastrophize in my mind or like spiral on and
Yeah.
think was going to get so bad, it never did. And it was just such a waste of time. Also, like if I started thinking something negative, I don't know, I just got to the place where I was like, fuck that. I'm not even going to give it any more thought. How do I fix it? You know, how do I get
Yeah,
it
that's
to where I want it to be, you know?
that's a wise thing to do, I think. What do you think about that, Cameron? How are you going about these?
Well, I don't really know how to say. Today I started my day job back. I had taken a couple weeks off of working.
Yeah.
So because of our volume of musical gigs,
It's that time of year.
Crazy.
It is, and so to capitalize on that and just it being so hot in a kitchen all day, and then you go play an outdoor gig for 4 hours in the heat.
That's not a good combination.
she actually did it for me because I've been kind of like an emotional degenerate as of late, like kind of seeing how all the progress that she's made as far as just taking control of her life, like that's actively living your life, figuring yourself out.
Yep.
I don't know. I just I have a tendency to pick one thing and go real hard at it.
Yep.
So just
Same here.
But I'll get to a point where, like, it's usually with music, I'll go really hard at it, improve myself to a satisfactory extent, run it on gigs, and then just kind of hit autopilot for a while.
Yep. Same here, man.
Yeah, it's rough.
And but even when I do that, it's still whatever I'm doing is all consuming. And so whether it's music or keeping up with the animals,
The animals. Do you know about the animals?
Or the day job, there's no time.
I don't know.
For
You.
introspect. Like any time that I spend alone, I'm occupied, like playing Xbox or watching YouTube or
Dude, I am the same person. Like, if I'm not communicating, if I'm here by myself, which is most of the time, and I think that's wise too. By the way, is like I really think that it's, and because I've recently, I don't know how far back you listened, but I've covered a lot of this in podcasts in the past, but just I've been in a lot of transitional periods in the last few months, or basically the last year, and I don't know, spending a lot of time alone and finding out who I was took a really long time. And I mean, I was glad that I didn't have to, like, I don't know, I wasn't too, and I had a roommate for a while who I guess I was a little heavy on, because I when you stop smoking cigarettes and stop drinking, that just literally fucks your head up for a little while when you don't really know what, I don't know, you don't know who you are. I didn't know who I was, because I was just, I mean, shit, you remember, man, I don't know. By the way, the first panic attack I think I ever had, and I don't even think you knew it, was on the way back from that random ass gig at King Street, and I had to pull off the side of the road and just sit there for a little bit because I didn't know which way to go. Do you remember that?
I think so. King Street Grill?
It was not King Street Grill. It was
at Appalachians, right?
No, Wild Wing Cafe.
Oh, in Charleston.
In Charleston. The first time. Oh, no, that was the night that my car kept cutting off on the way back from Appalachians. It's always something. It's just always something, man. Like, I was on the way back, my car just kept cutting off. But no, the first panic attack that I ever had, or that I remember, I started thinking back, and I didn't realize it was a panic attack at the time. It was just, I just kind of freaked out because I didn't know which way to go. I couldn't get any, like, data on my phone. And I was like, and it took me like fucking, they sent me the wrong check for that gig, like twice.
Yeah,
but no, that was I don't know, that was a random thought that I had today when I was thinking about y'all coming today. And I was like, what are we going to talk about? I was like, I have to tell them that. 'Cause I didn't even realize that I had anxiety.
I know what you're talking about, too. It was before we had left that little street.
Yeah, and I was just like, didn't know which way to go.
Which ramp to hit 17 on.
Yeah.
That always confuses me down there.
And I couldn't figure it out, but I was, I don't know, at least now I know what the fuck
you were
happened.
like, wait, how old are you?
31. I'll be 32 in October.
Okay, so you that was a couple years ago?
Yeah, that was at least 2 years ago, because I'm pretty sure I was still drinking at that point.
Yeah. That was the night
yeah.
That was the night I was introduced to the Left Hand Milk Stout Nitro. I had a few of those.
Nice. Yeah, I had my first panic attack whenever I was pretty young. I mean, as far as I can remember, I've always been really nervous. So, because my grandma, we call her Paranoid Polly. And, yeah, you can't make that up. Paranoid Polly. She would tell us that if you got in a small car, you'd get in a wreck and die. If you got on a plane, you get in a plane crash and die. And if you
Oh,
had sex,
shit.
you're going to have babies.
Oh,
like,
shit.
period. So, my mom always told us, too, that if we got away from our Walmart, somebody would come get us and chop our heads off and throw us in a swamp. So, like, I was pretty, like, neurotic from the get-go, you know?
How
Like-
old were you when this was being administered?
Listen here. So, like, last night, I was actually thinking about it. She actually had my uncle grab me up in Walmart one time and act like he was kidnapping me to see what I would do, to see if I would
What?
actually do what we had practiced. And she said, "You didn't do anything. You didn't do anything." I'm like 5 years old. Like, so anyway.
Man, that's
So
wild.
I was pretty anxious like my whole life, and I fought it pretty hard. Like, but whenever I came back, I went to Africa to do some photojournalism, and when I came back from Africa, I got like this internal parasite, and just seeing what I saw in Africa like fucked me up. like,
That's a
big time.
bummer.
Yeah, and I just started having really bad anxiety at that point. I was like 19, and so it's been like 11. I turned 30 last November, and I just decided I was done with it.
I hear that. That's a good decision, right? Does the
I'm tired
anxiety
of this.
does the anxiety fucks with you?
It has. The most recent anxiety attack I had was we were living in Altasurf, and I was going to Scotty's in Surfside
Yeah.
to take Leanne some gig posters that we had made. We
Yeah.
had some gigs coming up there. And on 31, right before I got to 544, you feel your ears get really hot.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah.
bad.
Where you
I
just
fucking hate
And
that.
it's like
mine
things
starts
kinda-
with the flutter, the heart flutter.
Okay.
Mine hurts my
But-
pinky.
But
I think everybody's is different.
yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
but yeah,
But you get the
Yeah.
it's like a heaviness about things. You kind of get tunnel vision. I was like, all right. So I can't remember whether I text Leanne or I probably called her because I try not to use my phone at all when I drive.
yeah,
at
that's
all.
smart.
So it would have had to have been a phone call. But I told her, I was like, I don't know if I'm going to make it down there. I started sweating really bad. I made it all the way up to 544 and was like, okay, I'm going to be able to just force myself to get through this, to get
Yeah.
where I'm going. And it got to the point where, like, it was almost like a blindness,
Yep.
kind of swelling in the eyes, in the vision. And I pulled over into one of those storage centers right there on 544 near Big Block and sat in the car.
You called me.
I called her and told her, I was like, I think I'm having a panic attack. So I just pulled off the road and I turned the air conditioner as cold as it would go and as high as it would go.
Yeah.
I leaned the seat back and I just let it happen.
Well, I'll tell you what, and I think I told you that day.
It was
this
like a
is
5-minute thing.
what
And then I
what.
drove on to Scotty's. I was tired afterwards, but
That thing drains all of your energy.
Well, I'll tell you this though. One of the tricks I found, if you are feeling it like, and it's
Yeah.
coming on, and you resist it, you're like, oh shit, here we
Yeah.
go. It gets so much worse.
Absolutely.
So what I've started to do, I'm like, all right, bitch, come the fuck on, let's go.
Yeah,
Like,
well-
get as bad as you can get. Come on. And I swear, it never gets as bad as you think it's gonna get.
Never.
And it's much easier if you're not resistant to it. So that's one of the things I've started doing. I'm just like, okay, come on.
That's one of the most conflicted feelings that I've had recently too. Is right after a panic attack, because I don't know if you guys listened to the episode where I talked about going to the pilot house and it was raining and I had to lug all of this equipment through the rain in my car in the cart. And it was all of those people because it was the Blue Crab Festival and I'm not good with crowds at all. And by the time I realized that I was in a panic attack, I was like losing my shit on Adam. I was unnecessarily rude to Adam. But I've gotten to the point now to where they kind of realize, okay, this is not normal. He's having a panic attack and that's all there is to it. So they were fine with it. But I was like, I don't know. I was like, I just really need to hit something right now. I was just like, I really need to break something. I really need to hurt something. I was just that's what it does to me.
Yeah, I
Like,
think it's different for everybody.
yeah,
It's
and
wild.
Yeah, Adam is the one that just wants to be away from everything when he has his panic, because he has panic attacks bad too. But and we've talked about that. But
What a cool guy, though.
yeah,
I love that guy.
Adam he's I don't know what to say about Adam. He's like the brother that
He's
gets
your big
away
brother,
with doing
yeah.
all the shit that nobody else could get away with. But yeah, absolutely a great dude. But they realized, and I apologized to him immediately after that happens. I'm like, dude, I'm sorry, but my original thought was I have such a conflicted feeling about myself and my life and how I'm viewed, and like, oh shit, did
yeah.
that. Like, I just fucked up, man. Like,
Yeah.
shit. And I was like, oh, dude, I'm sorry, man. Like, y'all did the right thing, obviously, by not like, I don't know, not fighting back, like, and they realized that I was in the middle of a panic attack, and he didn't try to attack me at all. He was honestly just saying, like, pretty much like just being Adam, which honestly is the most comforting thing anybody can do, I guess, is just be themselves
Yeah.
around you, like not change who they
Like a
are because
constant.
you've changed. Exactly.
Right.
And
Yeah, because I think that's what another thing that I've tried. Like, my panic attacks are totally different. Mine are super, like, they're super introverted stuff. Like, it's like and I think that when I'm getting there, like if I'm on stage. Now, I haven't had a full blown panic attack in a long time.
good for you.
Yeah, it's been a while, but I think it's because August 2 years ago I had a miscarriage, and after that, like, nothing
Yeah,
touches that. You know what I
yeah,
mean?
that's awful.
And so when that
I
happened,
hate that.
But when that happened, like, I grew a lot from it because I thought, well, nothing's that bad, and even now when I get anxious, it has never gone to where, like, one time I had a panic attack one time where I was hyperventilating and my arms drew to my chest. Like,
Oh,
I
man.
could not. Well, that's what I was saying. Like, it starts with my pinkies, and then my hands go numb, and then it's like they literally do like this, and just I like curl. It's insane. You're
Now,
like, completely not in control of your body.
could your hands like it's yeah, 100%.
man.
The brain.
It's crazy.
It's your brain. Yeah,
Yeah,
for sure.
your brain is so powerful
it's-
and
and-
so much in control. Like, could you have could your hands like be falling asleep or something like that, and you could almost like confuse
Oh yeah, dude.
that
I
with a
panic
panic
over that
attack
kind
and
of
just
stuff.
like, oh shit, is it happening? Like, just
So-
like while you're sleeping or laying on, like,
Yeah.
that happens to me.
I don't like any sensations that are similar to a panic attack. I don't like them. So, but that's something I've had to. Well, what I've talked about is trying to really, like, be a lot better about it.
Yeah.
It's what I have done, and this is the power of your mind that I've really, really tapped into lately. Is I separate those things. It's really wild because if somebody had told me, because I listened to your talk with Jen and Jeff, and one thing that Jen said was, don't say it's all in my head. Like, don't
Yeah.
tell me that this is all in my head.
Yeah.
And I know I completely get that because I've been at that place, and I'm not going to contradict her, like, in any capacity like that.
Yeah.
But, like, I think, too, when you do grow, and because it is a physical thing, I totally got what she was saying. It's totally a physical thing too.
Yes.
Like but that's how powerful your brain is.
Absolutely. Your brain is causing all of this.
Yes. So, like, it's shitty for somebody to, like, be like, oh, it's all in your head. But if you look at the reality of it, it really is based out of your mind.
100%.
It's not based out of your physicality. You know what I mean? It's your brain that then creates an extremely physical sensation.
Yeah. Now, granted, your physical, like your surroundings physically can 100% have an effect on it. Just
Oh,
like you
yeah.
were saying, like just getting hot.
Yeah.
Sometimes just getting hot. I mean, shit, with his hair and his beard, you know what I mean? Dude, it's fucking hot and
Yeah.
just sweating too much, or
Yeah.
just like getting to where you don't feel like you can breathe.
Dead Dog
That's
does it to me.
really.
Yeah, it's there. Well, Seth moved it. Thank God for me. The light. There's a light at Dead Dog. Lights do it to me. It's so weird.
Oh shit!
And I think it's because it.
Is it the thing that moves all around?
It's not that one. It's just the
That thing
bright-
freaks me out, man. When it comes on after it gets dark, and I'm like, shh. The fuck?
I'll see one of them swing around.
I hate all of those
One night I
things.
thought it was
I
a
hate-
guy falling.
Seth put this funny, and maybe you've seen it. It's like a clip of like somebody talking about lighting the entertainment.
Yeah.
Did you see that video on Facebook? And Seth tagged me in it,
maybe.
like about musicians bitching about the lights. And
Oh,
it's
yeah.
like, quit bitching. You're my money. I'm putting light to my money. Like, you have to watch it if you didn't. But the lights at Dead Dog send me into a spiral sometimes. And I'll look at camera and I'll be like, those fucking lights. I wear glasses. I wear sunglasses at Dead Dog.
You know, I used to get that way, and not so much anymore because I don't drive so much anymore with like huge traffic, like 95 traffic. But I would get that way at night, like
night.
just seeing headlights.
Me
Just
too.
any like I used to, and I'm not that bad anymore. Like I said, but I think don't try this at home, children. I think all those years of drinking and just being a little buzzed when and I've already gone over this, so don't judge me. I hear you out there judging me. Don't judge me. I made good on this. I beat the system, but I would like, I don't know. I would be scared to drive unless I had a little bit of a buzz, because I would just be scared I'd hurt somebody with the shakes that bad. I'd just be scared I would. I was more comfortable and loose, and I drove better then. I know I'm not making excuses, but don't judge me. I've put those ways behind me, listeners. I put my ways behind me, guys.
Let me kind of go on that for a minute though. What kind of ticks me off, like in this whole self-discovery thing, and that I've been going through and trying to, because I was highly medicated for anxiety for a while, especially after having a miscarriage. I was drinking and medicated and like smoking, and I was a mess. I was a hot mess.
Yeah.
And now, mind you, I was going to therapy and I had a wonderful therapist that helped me a lot, and just talking like this, you know.
Yeah.
And
It's the greatest medicine.
It is the greatest thing, and it should be so okay to talk about. Just like if you're freaking throwing up, you're sick,
Yeah.
right? Like if you don't feel good mentally, that
You
should
have to
be
purge.
just as normal. But it should be just as normal to talk about.
Yeah.
Man, I'm just kind of blue. Like that's totally fine, you know. But in all that, what you just said about drinking and driving, what ticks me off is how many medicines you can get that can kill you.
Yeah.
Like a bottle of Xanax for $9, like from a prescription. And
Yep.
if I took half of them, I'd die. You know? And people drive on that shit all the time.
Oh yeah. Well, and it's because it's like something that you get from a doctor, or that's supposedly safe,
Yeah,
or
FDA.
yeah, or whatever have you. But yeah, I don't trust that shit. What do you think about that?
I try not to, man. I've every once in a while I'll get sick and take an antibiotic or two for a little while, but I don't know, until the last time I went to,
Ooh, kidney stones.
yeah,
Oh man,
Did
now,
you hear
did
the
it start
story?
in the back and go all the way around? Do you feel it?
I had no idea that that's what it was until probably pretty far into it. It was Carolina Country Music Festival this year.
Oh
We were
man.
playing a gig
The official
Thursday
after
night.
party
The official after party
at Riptides.
At Riptides.
Oh shit.
And we were supposed to start at 7. And
Oh God.
we got there and got to setting up, and we'd seen everybody that uses those Behringer X-Air heads now, like
Yeah.
Sweet Sweet and Kenny George and those guys. They're like, get an external router so you don't ever run into like the internal Wi-Fi access point in it. It can get overwhelmed if there's too many other active
Yes.
networks around. So he's like, you don't ever have to worry about doing that. and that had never really happened to us.
Yeah, we just
It
we
never
live by
had.
the-
Actually, it
We
definitely
live
had
on the
never
edge of
happened
the
to it.
our seats.
But it happened that night, so I had to go from Riptides to Best Buy, which is not too far.
It's far enough.
Ran in, grabbed a cable modem, paid for it, went back to the gig, plugged it in, realized that it was not what I was supposed to have gotten.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Went
cable
back
modem.
to Best Buy. At this point,
At this
they
point, I
had-
had like talked to the manager twice.
and they were so cool.
They
They
were
were
so
so
cool.
accommodating.
so awesome. They were like,
That's what we need more of.
Dude,
They
he
pushed the
was-
gig back. They were like,
they were
"You can
so
start
cool.
at 8."
And
And so the second
That's
time
awesome.
I got there
So
and
cool.
got back, we had it figured out. But this whole time while I'm driving, I'm in immense pain, like sweating really bad. And
Has he
it's
told
kinda
me?
starting to
No.
shake. And we got everything set up. I got a windscreen on my microphone, and everything was powered on and live and ready to go, ready for me to say, "Hi, everybody. We're Berlin."
and it was
Yeah.
probably like 10 till. It was probably like 8:50.
And I couldn't stand up anymore. Like I bent over and
He bent. So Cameron, who like
told her to take me to the hospital.
always wears long pants to a gig, like he'll never
Yeah.
do anything that on stage that doesn't need to be done on stage. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like he's very, stoic on stage.
I admire that,
I'm
by the way.
talking- I'm talking to a lady, and I was telling her like all the craziness that was going on, and she's like, "Is your husband okay?" And he is bent over a stool on stage, and I'm
Oh
like,
man.
"Yeah, he's fine." And I go over there. I was like, "What are you doing? Like, stand up. Like, go to the bathroom if you need to. Like, what's going on?" And he was green. It was awful. So, but he's never sick. He's like a stray dog. He's fine all the time. Like, he's
I have a pretty hard.
Put some
immune
water in
system,
it.
I
he
believe,
really.
yeah.
Well, I handed him a beer. I said, "You're probably just passing the kidney stone. Here, drink this beer. Like, it'll come out, And
Did you go to the hospital?
he was like, he looked at me.
I tried it. I went
I think-
downstairs and
I
drank a
think-
beer and smoked a cigarette
Yeah,
and
he-
came back up and I was like, I need to go to the
Did you
hospital.
did you feel it like
I
move
didn't
work its way around?
I wasn't conscious of like just being there and the way that place is set up. Sorry. And
There you go.
there were so many people and
There
it
was a
was
lot
like
going on.
it was a
It's-
big thing for us
Have
too.
you
I
played-
we were
have
looking
you played
forward to
Riptides?
No, I never played there.
Don't.
No,
In the
well,
sense of in the sense of-
Riptides is right there where the tin roof is, correct?
I'm not sure, but I only say don't because in the sense of it being busy and overwhelming, I was a nervous wreck. Like,
Yeah,
don't there's so many people.
Well, I
It's
don't
like-
mind the people as long as I have my stage, as long as I
Yeah.
have my space.
Well, there is like,
you know,
it's not like a stage.
I recommend playing there.
Oh, it's a
Very much. It's an outstanding place.
the only
And they
reason
were very accommodating of us
Okay,
that night. They
let me-
pushed it back. They were like,
they were great.
Start
The
at
only
9.
reason I say don't is if you are literally, for me, I would have totally. I mean,
yeah,
it was just a me thing.
Yeah, yeah.
Like you're against like a rail, like on the second floor, like open. I was having issues with anxiety, big time.
Oh,
Like
man.
about to play there, and then he was like, looks up and is like, take me to the hospital, and I was like,
I was looking at it like,
what?
this is about to be a great gig. I feel like another one of the bands that was playing there for the festival for the part that Riptides was doing it was there, and they're friends with some other out of town bands of ours. So I was like, okay, I recognize those
Oh
guys.
yeah.
We'll get to play for them.
Yeah.
You know, I was stoked. It was the Country Music Fest. We had a gig booked for the festival. We had 4 total gigs booked for that tied into that, and it was going to be big time. You know, like
Yeah, that's the one.
We're gonna throw some.
Yeah, it was. I mean, it's a
Throw some originals out, you know. Everything's gonna fall
Oh,
into
and
place.
we had been
and we're gonna
making
hit-
t-shirts
We're gonna
that
hit our
day.
stride in the first set of this gig, and it's
Hell
gonna,
yeah.
and it's gonna go all the way to the end, to the last gig, and that shit happened, and I was like, "Take me to the hospital," and it was so difficult for me to say that.
he
Dude,
like,
I-
never goes to the doctor.
I'm the same way, man. I've even had insurance for like the last 6 months, and I haven't used it yet because I just don't. I don't want to fucking know. I don't want to know. You know, my brain fucks with me.
Yeah.
You know, if I know something's up, then I just think that that'll cause me more issues. Like it's good to have if something fucking happens and I need it, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I see it as emergency use only.
Yeah, and that's I mean
Basically.
that's all he does. And like I said, I mean it was definitely a situation of like
Welcome to the world. Sorry.
it was it's a beautiful venue, and the managers were amazing. But the level, I definitely had a lot of anxiety. But you know what? It might have been from just like your energy and then everything that happened, obviously. But it's like
That can definitely bleed in.
I feel
It was a
like
heavy night.
I felt like I was gonna like. It's super wide. Have
Everything,
you
all
seen
the
it?
back and forth.
No, I don't think
It's
I've ever
gorgeous.
been there.
It's-
I don't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Well, it was just a little intense for me, and there was a lot going on. There was a lot of people down there, and I felt like it gave me anxiety. It's a great venue. And then he like looks up and's like, take me to the hospital. And I was like, you fucking kidding me? Like,
Yeah.
for real?
We left everything.
We left
on.
everything,
The guitars were
like,
hanging in the guitar
Probably
rack.
like five grand worth of equipment just up.
Jesus.
You know, just up. Our guitars out, everything.
That's my biggest thing is it, just like I was saying with the Pilot House gig is I was mostly worried about my equipment. Like because
Oh yeah, people don't get that.
this stuff, like they talk about, oh man, well they'll hand you the check and be like, oh, you made more than I did tonight. Be like, yeah, well, it cost me more money to be here than it did.
Right.
You know, I'm sorry, but there's more invested in me being here.
Yeah, and this is like
Then-
what we do. Like in the
Yeah.
sense of like, I've had.
I didn't just buy gas to get here.
Yeah, I've had somebody try to use my microphone before, and I have a Sennheiser, and like it's my microphone,
Yeah.
and it's a pretty expensive microphone to me. You know,
Yeah.
it's mine.
Yeah, exactly.
And I was like, please get off of my microphone. Like, it's an expensive microphone. And he was like, what's it, like $80? And I was like, no. You know?
Yeah.
But people have no concept of how much money goes into performing.
Not at all. Nor do they have any concept that what we actually do is work.
Oh, God.
Like they don't. And I see. There you go, listeners. They're sitting in their cars right now. At whatever time this may be, a week from now, listening to this. Like, God, he's going out on about it again. People don't think that it's work. Like it's an actual job. This is like a profession that we're in.
Let me be the person that does this. I didn't think it was work. Can I be that person? And I'll tell you.
I have no problem at all.
Okay, so I have my graduate. My graduate degree is in teaching, and I'm a teacher. And I had a very different view of music and music being a job.
Yep.
And I completely work harder during now that things have taken off as a duo.
Yeah.
I completely work harder because you prep. Like we live far from Murrells Inlet anyway. Like so every time we play in Murrells Inlet, it's like an hour for us. So we leave an hour before the hour that we set
Yeah,
up for an
yeah.
hour before the gig. And then all the while before that, like an hour before we leave, we're getting ready, we're packing the car.
Yeah.
Each of those speakers is like 40 pounds. Like everything's
Oh, yeah,
heavy.
everything's
it's a very
heavy.
physical thing. And then standing up on stage and performing, it takes everything out of you, you know?
That's the whole thing. Is like people.
Well, standing on stage and as a duo, we might take a 15-minute set break.
Yeah, we kind of get
Same.
after
I
it,
don't-
too.
I don't-
Like,
I'm-
we just
if
play
People
through.
are
Play through.
listening. You do it while they're looking at you.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Get it while you can,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
you don't know when you take that
There's
break
two-
and that table that you were really banking on staying leaves.
Yeah.
Like,
Too many nights.
and it could be like
you
one
play to
person.
nobody but the staff.
Yeah.
Or,
And it's,
or you know.
yeah, for sure. And like, the last place we played was OD Lounge
Wait,
on
you're digging this?
Monday.
Let me keep going.
Yeah,
Hell
and that's
yeah.
You
exactly
like this?
like I listened.
Watch this.
Exactly.
I listened to your last one and about the little girl requesting.
Oh man, that was
Leonard
my
Cohen.
favorite gig.
We've
Dude,
been playing that a
we've
bunch here
we've
lately
been
too,
playing that a
by
bunch lately
request.
too, by request. The Jenny at OD Lounge, she like got
Hallelujah.
us. Yeah, and she was like, "Will y'all play this song?" I was like, "Well, I know it, but I've never sang it." So we swapped verses back and forth,
Oh, that's awesome.
and then harmonize at the end. Like
I'm
it's-
pretty
it's-
sure I always put those verses in the wrong place. I feel like I've never sang that song the same way. Like I'm always mismatching
it works
verses.
though. But yeah, we've been doing that. But we had a little girl not too long ago request. She was probably
Drive-by
what
truckers
5.
at the pit.
We had a kid, like a 6-year-old request, Drive By Truckers, and then we had like a 5-year-old request, In Spite of Ourselves. And she was like, "It's my favorite song ever." And
That's got my heart right
yeah,
there.
it was great. It was amazing because we were playing a
There
place.
is hope yet.
Yes, we were playing a place, and I was worried about like doing that kind of stuff. And we had looked at each other and been like, "Let's do In Spite of Ourselves." And I was like, "No, there's kids everywhere." And I swear, it was like 3 songs later, this little girl comes up and she's like, "Do you know In Spite of Ourselves is my favorite song ever?" I was
That's
like,
dangerous for me though, because when a kid does that, then all holds are off. Like,
Yeah.
"If you know that song, we're playing everything."
We're gonna do it.
Here
Well,
we
now
go.
parents
Well,
have
no,
allowed you to dig this, then obviously.
it's kind of like how she was saying, like we were at a place and we try to stay very crowd aware. You know,
Yeah.
we're very situational with what we play because we have, I don't know, just our musical interests were similar when we got together.
Yeah.
So the stuff that she listens to that I had never heard before is right, still right in my wheelhouse.
Yeah, yeah.
And the same thing,
Yeah.
and with her coming into the Winchesters and stuff and getting really immersed in that outlaw country, because she was very singer-songwriter, Janice Ian, Jenny
Yeah.
Mitchell, coming up like that's her.
That gig,
Which is- I
that gig
love that
changed
stuff.
me, by the way, musically.
Oh yeah.
A lot. Like, I don't know, I leaned into the twang a lot more in shit than
Did I not
before
just say
I would
that the
have.
other day? I said that the other day. Like, sometimes I think I have an accent, and sometimes I don't. And then sometimes when we sing, especially now with the Winchesters, but I think it's because we're performing so much. I don't, like, I was singing an Alison Krauss song the other day, and she just, like, good God.
Yeah.
But
If I
you
get
know,
to heaven and the
it's-
angels don't sound like her, I'm going to be in the wrong place.
Yeah, but like the amount of breath, like amount of breath control that
Oh,
she's
yeah.
doing, not just vocal control, but the
Yeah.
Lucky One, the song "The Lucky One."
I may have heard that.
Well, it's
I'm
hard
not good
to
with
sing.
the titles.
And I finally told Cameron the other day, I was like, I just need to sing this like me because I can't sing like her. And me
Sing
now.
like you anyway.
Me now is like more twangy. It's coming out. So
Yeah, but it doesn't sound put on.
no, it's real. I'm from Bug Swamp.
Well, that's
No, I mean like
no. I
sounding
know what you
like
mean.
yourself
Right. No, I get what you're saying.
doesn't sound like you're putting something on.
Right.
Well, I got to the, and I don't. This was when I first started like recording and listening to myself on recording. I was like very disappointed in my own voice, and I was like just. I don't know. It took me a long time to get used to the sound of my own voice because that was just like that whole like the whole time like somebody else does this better. Like I don't know. I'll play somebody else's song. And then while I'm doing it, I'm like, man, this is good, man. This is like so much better than their version. And then I'll like, and then I'll go back and listen to it, and I'm like, oh,
Ooh.
maybe not. And it just took me a really long time to just get to the point of where, okay, this isn't going to be better than the original version, nor does it have to be. All it has to be is me. And like if I'm true to
Right.
that, then the rest will just fall into place like a zipper. Or whatever else,
I got
whatever
the
falls
visual.
into place.
That's
I don't know. YouTube world got all of that one, didn't you? No, but like, I don't know. There's pride in doing you the way that you do that because you're the only one that can do you the way that you do you.
Well, it's kind of abstract to think about because you don't sound the same from outside of your own head than you do
Yes.
from inside your own head.
Never.
Like, it's just
It's so weird.
there's meat and bones and sonic,
Yeah.
obstruction. So
I do wonder how you think that you sound.
It's weird.
Like, don't you? If you could share with other people what you sound like yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and compare,
Yeah.
do like an analysis.
I feel like it would be so pleasing.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, I love that. Like,
I feel like you would love to hear what I hear when I talk.
no, that's the way I am, man. Like, I just think, I don't know. I love. There was a quote about Branch Rickey, who was the guy who came up with the farm system in baseball, and also the guy who drafted who brought Jackie Robinson to the Dodgers.
Okay.
But somebody said, well, Branch Rickey, there was like, there's never been a human who has fallen more in love with the melodious tones of his own voice. They were talking about Branch Rickey. I was like, man, that might be me. So that might be me a little bit, because I don't know, like, I do enjoy, like, guys, I'm a listener of this podcast too. Like, I've listened to every one of these episodes at least once afterwards, just to be like, oh, did I sound like an idiot here? Like, just to hear myself thinking. I honestly use that as a way of, like, getting to know myself too, because when I'm up here talking, especially without these bullet points or whatever, like, this is just me with no thought going into it. This is literally just no filter mouth.
Right.
And I'm like, okay, so that's who this guy is. And that was my method of learning who I was and who I am for real, which is the hardest thing.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm so sorry.
No, it's fine. But yeah,
She's like, she's going to make me start a podcast.
No. I'm not gonna make you start a podcast.
Bro, hold on. Before we go any further,
Kelsey's like, no.
please start a podcast.
Y'all can do it together.
Please, seriously. No, you guys can do it together. Dude, please start a podcast.
Dude, that'd be hysterical.
Let me, dude. It's the most self-cleansing thing that I have ever done for my own life. It is the most rewarding and therapeutic and, like I said, self-cleansing thing I've ever done in my life. But granted, I'm not expecting anybody to be the same as me. There once was a time, but I've put those ways behind me where I was like, okay, why don't you just do this the way that I do this, because the way I do it is better, you know. and I mean, I've been that. I'm that guy still, but I keep it at bay. But seriously, start a podcast. Just do that.
So the giggle, I have to explain the giggle, and this is so literally Cameron's the only person that knows this about me, but I'm about to tell everybody because, like, why not?
We got news dropping world.
So much like a podcast, to kind of I don't know, to get to know myself over these past this past year probably.
Yeah.
Anytime Cameron's not at home, you're gonna laugh at me, I think. So I talk to myself like I would answer a reporter, like telling the reporter about my life and stuff. When I'm finally on, I don't know, some when I'm on Joe Rogan one day, talking to him about all of my music and.
You know how many artificial interviews I've given in this shower?
Yeah, that kind of. Well, I'm responding. I'm the interviewee. I'm being interviewed, but much like this, kind of like what you're explaining, it helps you to get to know yourself. You know,
you start recording that.
Well,
I'm serious. Start recording. Use your. That's what I do. I have so many hours of recorded content of me sitting in my car driving on the way back from a gig, just ranting about somebody who did some bullshit in that gig, or somebody who made a stupid some driving mistake or something that I would have done better. You know, I've got hours of that shit just recorded on my phone that I never even release.
Yeah.
But it's so good
I think talking is just it's such a good thing. And
I think so.
And I don't think I don't know. People knock stuff I don't know. You have to be comfortable enough to completely talk to whoever you're talking to and be open and honest. Not do the character thing that you've talked about. You know, putting on. You know,
when the character comes out, they know it.
Yeah, and being a teacher too, that's been hard for me.
Yeah,
because some days you have shitty days, and some days you have to go in and be like, okay, guys, this is what we're doing. And I stopped doing that, like in front of
Yeah.
my class and everything. This spring was really when I started to figure out who I am.
Yep.
And had a little meltdown at 30. I cut all my hair off and stopped wearing makeup, and you know what I mean. Like had
Good for
I
you
was
on
like-
that.
I
Fuck
was
all that
like,
shit.
who am I? You know.
Fuck all that shit.
And it's helped. It really has helped a lot. So yeah, I talk to myself like I'm being interviewed. So
I've been doing that all my life.
whenever Pace Magazine calls, I'm just kidding.
You've been practicing.
I've been practicing.
Yeah, it's like
She's
I'm
been
gonna,
practicing.
no, but I think that we've all done that. Anybody, I would dare say that anybody who has ever played any music or aspired to be any music has practiced their award speech. If you ever win one, you know, I
Yeah.
think everybody has done that. I do that. I think about all this. I'll be in the shower like crying in the middle of my. I'm not even joking. I don't even know if I've ever said this before.
great.
But I'll be in the shower and I'll like literally get emotional because I'll be thinking about the people in my life that I would thank if I were to get to that point to where
Yeah.
I've won some sort of an award. And I'll just in like verbalizing how I actually feel about these people who I would be hypothetically thanking in this situation. I get a little emotional, man. I start crying a little bit in the shower
Yeah.
and just I
It's
don't
a
know.
beautiful thing.
It's a good thing. Crying is a huge deal.
Oh, yeah.
In what I've done, it's like I don't know. I watch a little Doctor Who or a little Harry Potter or a little something or whatever, and I'll get a good cry in every day. At some point, I'll get a good cry in every day, and it's usually just a nice little well up, or it might be when some jackass hits a line drive right past our third baseman, and he didn't need to get there. He needed to get there, but it's not like he got there and catches the ball, and I'm just like, man, he gives a shit. It's like, man, he gives a shit,
How the Braves doing?
bro. We are right there knocking at the door of the Phillies for the NL East title as of right now.
Nice.
How about your Rangers, correct? Or
No, I'm Braves as far as
you're
baseball
about,
goes.
oh, hell yeah, Bravos, man. Good
I
shit.
was raised in Florence, man.
I ain't raised in Florence, but I thought aren't you a Houston fan football? Or
Yeah, Texans as far as
Yeah.
football goes, just to
I
not be a
always
Cowboys
confuse
fan.
that with well, no shit. Nobody. My dad's a Cowboys fan, and I mean, I feel bad for the guy.
Jesus.
But feel a little bit better for him now that they got rid of Des Bryant. He's locker room cancer. You can't have that kind of negativity in the locker room. It's the same negativity like in the band. Like for the same person who I was for all those years in Cornbread, who's just like nothing that Adam and Smitty ever did was good enough, or you know, there would be something that they would be doing, and I would be like, you did this the wrong way. Like do it this way instead, and just being that sort of negativity in the band is Des Bryant. So it's like it's good that has been purged. But we were talking a little bit in the very beginning. But what is it that is it something random that's like just shown up over the last like Mercury retrograde getting you, or something that's making you
Mercury,
want
man. Or that eclipse that just
the
took
eclipse
place.
has been the eclipse.
That messed with
Everything's
me.
yeah that flipped everything over.
I swear it messed with me. Did I not say that?
Yeah, I think it's just I don't know. Over the last year, I've tried to become more aware. I feel like I have been a lot more aware of myself, and getting the day job kind of satisfied a couple of different things.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's great to have the extra money. It's a good job. I work for great people that
Yeah.
really work with the music schedule. We play gigs out of town a lot, and they're have a good gig. You know,
That's great.
They respect
Yeah,
me
cool.
as a.
It's good to have that support system in
Exactly.
the workplace.
And I'm very lucky to have found that because it's got to be rare. Just I've always kind of been very well reserved, you know.
Yeah.
I know how good for me being different and being actively, consciously being
Yes.
different is, but it's I don't know. I guess it's just a comfort thing. It's that's how I've always processed stuff. But realizing here lately, just how it's got me to where I am, and I realize that where I was isn't cutting the mustard, so to speak.
Yeah.
I felt like, definitely for her, but for me, all the stress that it causes and how I feel like I'm a pretty hypersensitive person as far as like what's going on inside my body and inside my mind, and being, secluding myself most of my life to deal with whatever I had going on. I believe is a big part of that. I have an easy time connecting with myself and
Oh yeah.
like really being aware of
Yeah.
everything that's going on and all the stress that my anger causes my physical body.
Yeah.
It's just not worth it to me anymore. Like I've spent half of what's probably, going to average to be 2/3 of my life, not 2/3, but like a third of my life, or
Yeah.
half of my life if I'm lucky. I spent half of that just being an emotional cripple, like just a wreck.
Just like, now does that mean like you're not feeling those emotions, or is that like
It's
just you don't know what you're gonna get, like a spin in the wheel?
The episode you talked about why you stopped drinking.
Yeah.
It's avoiding all of those feelings, not really.
Yeah.
I don't know. You find a way to deal with something, and you find an opinion about it. Like I feel like I have to have an opinion about everything, and if I don't know anything about it, then if I can't form an opinion about it, then I don't want to even think about it.
Yes.
Like I try to be responsible about my mindset, and I don't know. I've always really read into things I'll create.
Yes.
I'll create paradigms that don't necessarily exist or even have to.
Like in your memory palace.
Right, yeah. Or just like when I'm assessing real-time situations, like I'll have a tendency to put tone or put, what do they mean by that?
Yeah.
It's, instead of just letting it be what it is, and
Yeah. And
it's either a good thing or a bad thing or an in-between thing, and that's the end of it. Like you can just be what it is, and we move on to something more productive.
yeah. I get to the point sometime, or actually just pretty much any time that I'm around a lot of people, or anything where there's not necessarily even a lot of people. It could honestly just be maybe one person that I don't want to be around at that particular point, and I'll just like shut down. Like I don't even, like I don't speak. I'll like just I'll grunt every now and again, like to show that I'm still alive or still there or whatever. But I'll just completely shut down. And I was like almost to the point. And honestly, it was. I'm glad that you guys were there along with everybody else who was at the sweet thing, because when I got there, I was like, and I told Jeremy and Corinne that I would stop by there that night for their thing after the gig, and I was like obligated to do so. But even on up to the point of leaving, I was just like, well, we told them we were coming, right? So that means we have to go. I'm still like talking myself into it just because I'm so fucking weird that once I get done with a gig, and you guys know what energy that takes, when you finish a gig, I don't have the energy left to give anybody else.
Right.
But you guys being there and having a conversation with y'all, which led to this podcast, was a really, really cool thing.
Yeah, it's always good to see you.
Yeah, well, it's always good to see you guys. But even for me, like where I'm like,
It's very much an honor for me to be doing this with you, too.
Well, it is an honor to have you guys here. Listen, we've gone pretty far back. We've done some crazy shit over the fucking years. This is like, I think this is the epitome of where we have come since those days. So here's to you.
Well, I mean, I always just listen. Like I said, all the previous episodes that we've been listening to. I don't know, man. I find like we're kind of kindred spirits. Like we've been through some pretty similar situations. So,
Yeah.
I can relate a lot to what you say. It rings very true. I mean, I don't know, man. We have a lot in common. I'm comfortable around you. You know?
Good, man. That's the best compliment that I could ever get.
Yeah.
Because comfort is the hardest thing to attain.
I don't think I could have done this whole thing with somebody. I don't know.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm glad that you're here doing this because
I'm in now, man. I'm podcast hunting.
no, dude, I'm telling you, man.
It's coming back.
And I've
This might be my resurgence into the scene again. I kind of disappeared after a while.
dude, so did I, and that was the podcast for me. I realized that I wasn't going to be able to handle
Yeah.
physically being in the room with a lot of these people that I would still like to communicate with.
Right.
But that's why I do this, because I'm more comfortable at my house. And you've probably, I don't know if you've listened to any cornbread podcasts or any podcast with like Smitty, but he'll always give me shit about, oh, well, you can't even leave your house for more than like 5 hours. And no, I can't. Like if I'm away from my house for more than a couple hours, the hand is on the switch at that point, and it can flip at any time, and I just don't know which way that's going to be. Either the switch is flipped and I'm fine, or the switch gets flipped and you meet somebody else in an instance.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. It's almost like literally bipolar in a way, and that's the only way I can describe it, because it's like it's seriously another human. It's another person that shows up, and whenever that switch is flipped and I'm clocked out, it's not me anymore, it's somebody else. And best
Well,
of luck to you when you meet that person.
Man, I totally relate to that.
Well, but the good thing is, and the thing to continue to like hopefully, and I feel like I've really been like swimming upstream,
Yeah.
you know, for a while now. And I think one thing to continue to look forward to is that, and one way that I've tried to be more forgiving and loving, like towards myself, is like, this is how it is right now. It doesn't mean it's going to be that way forever.
Yeah.
Like there might come a time in your life where maybe it will be 6 hours or 7 hours, or you know what I mean,
Yeah,
or whatever.
exactly.
And like it's just one of the ways that I have controlled my anxiety is knowing that it's not going to be like this forever. Nothing is forever. You know what I mean?
That's key in getting through that, knowing
Yeah.
that this is going to pass.
Yeah, it's gonna
Yep.
pass, and it's gonna be okay. And you can. I've told Cameron this a couple times, and this is what I had to start doing. And it started with like, it started probably with weeks, because as a school teacher,
Yeah.
like I can be like, man, I had a shitty week. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, oh, that was just a stressful week. But what I started to do and visualize, because I'm very visual, is putting that week in a box and
Yeah.
writing bad week on it and putting it on the shelf, and it's gone. Then I broke it down to days. And then I was like, okay, that was just a bad day. Let me just put that in a box of bad day. And now what I've been able to do is flip that within minutes or seconds, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's gotten smaller and smaller down to the point of being able to say, this is just a bad feeling right now.
Yep.
Like
It's not worth
and
saving to the
not-
hard drive.
It's not. No, I'm not saving it to the hard drive. Do I need to catch this and hold it, or catch it and release it? And can I just put it in a box really fast, put that aside? I don't need that. You know,
Yeah.
it's not things that don't serve me. I've been trying to get rid of emotions and things like
That's smart. Just
Well,
get
it
rid of the
just-
things
it
that
just
don't do you any
helps.
good.
Yeah.
It's a purge. You have to purge that every now and again, and that's why I spend so much time by myself. Like, and I just personally, I know I'm not to the point yet to where I want to burden another human with me, whether it be a significant other or a roommate or whatever have you. I just know that I'm not there yet, and I've gotten just I don't want to say. I don't want to say used to the being alone thing, but I mean, definitely I'm in an Isbell song, falling asleep with the TV on. I was like, I'm definitely there. But if it takes a lifetime, Jason, we're gonna get there. But that just like you said earlier, just getting to the point, coming to that realization, or becoming more aware, I think is how you worded it, is right where I am too, man. And I still haven't gotten on top of and I still struggle with this shit, which is why I use this platform to broadcast this shit so that I will know that now other people are aware of my struggle.
Yeah.
And now other people can, like, in my mind, other people are holding me to what I originally said that I wanted to change about myself, or the things that I struggle with that I want to better myself over are the things that I mention in these podcasts. And that's why when you guys say, I've been listening to your podcast, in my mind, that's like, okay, well, that means that if I said, for instance, I'm not going to eat fast food anymore on one of my podcasts, and I haven't since.
Really?
Not once.
Jesus.
Not even nothing. Nowhere with a drive-through except Panda Express one time. But I don't count Panda
That
Express.
doesn't count.
Well,
No, I don't think that counts.
and like fast food pizza, I haven't done fast food pizza either. Like no Papa John's, Domino's, Pizza Hut, none of that stuff. Anything that you're going to find a commercial for, pretty much, haven't done that. I will allow myself to eat anything I want as long as I prepare it myself. I will allow myself 3 meals a week outside of my house. But it started because I would always leave dishes in the sink. That was my worst thing. Like, I always left dishes in the sink, and every time I'd walk by, the anxiety of knowing that I would have to do those dishes soon would just pile on. So I started, that was why I wouldn't cook here, because I hated to do dishes. Like, once I get them clean, I don't want to fuck them up because I don't want to clean them.
You have a dishwasher?
No.
Oh.
No. And even if I did, I would probably still hand wash because fuck you, technology. But no, but seriously,
like my grandma, she washes dishes in bleach.
Yeah, with a cap of bleach.
She's crazy.
No, I know a lot of people that do that. That add a half a cap of bleach to their sink water. Yeah.
When my grandfather was living, he would wash the dishes, and he didn't care. He was an orphan. He was raised an orphan, and he ended up playing at USC. He was a captain for USC football in '56, and then he played for the Giants. But he didn't care about he was also a stray dog.
If you leave something sitting around on a plate,
he's fine. He's totally fine all the time. But he would wash the dishes, do all of them, and she would wash them again. It was rough. She would wait till he went and sat in his chair and put them all back in and wash them all again.
Adam or Smitty can wrap up a cable. I'll throw it on the floor and rewrap it.
Oh, cables.
I'll always do that.
We've had many a fuss over
fusses.
Well, okay, which one's the organized wrapper? Do you agree with that?
So you all know we both raised our hands.
Hell, you too, world.
Okay, well, let's talk about this though.
Okay.
So I think that, well, first of all, I bought the suitcase that is extremely handy for toting the cables around in. And Cameron liked, Edie, the cables to be wrapped longer. And I like them in circles because I like it in the circle. And I like the ends to be close together. Not connect, but be close together because we have the wraps on them, which I also bought the Velcro wraps. And But Cameron just likes his to be longer. But
I do too.
Then
I'm a
the other
shoulder
day,
wrapper.
But then the other day, he starts wrapping it like mine. And I was like, what are you doing?
Oh.
No, he's like, I've decided this is better. I was like, that's my way.
Just a tighter circle. The way we set our gear up is, the little head, which is tiny. We have powered speakers,
Yeah.
so there's that X-Air system really knocks out a lot of room, and so where the cables are next to that on the floor, like smaller
Keep them in
circles,
small
keeps it more tight, and then it's very.
We're
I
particular.
might as well have I might as well just get a snake because it takes
Yeah.
so much. I take so much time getting every individual cord ran together on the same path through
Yep.
the mic stands, around
Under the
underneath
fan.
the fan, then back to the head.
It's particular.
Oh, I'm a fan of that. I'm a proprietor of that. Even
It looks good, man.
It
It
looks
does.
good.
It
and
looks
it feels feels good.
It feels good, for
It's
sure.
like I think it was Jessica Skinner, Prettier Than That. I think
Yeah.
Jessica said that it's like setting up and tearing down your Christmas tree every day.
Oh God, that's amazing.
I'd
yeah,
rather
that's-
have a pretty Christmas tree.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's just like everything in
out
its
Prettier
right
Than
place.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, shout out Prettier Than That. We need to get you guys in here to do an episode.
That's such
by
a
the way.
great way to look at it, and like, it's so wild. And like, I get like, you talk about anxiety when somebody's like, "Hey, can I help you pack up?" I'm like, "No,
Nope.
don't touch anything."
Oh man,
Like, no. And so the other day, who was it? Dave. Dave came to the pit, and he did the best. He was like, "Hey, you want me to help you clean up, or you have like a thing, like you have like a system?"
yeah.
He was the first person that's ever said that. But I think
He's a
Dave's
musician.
released. Yeah, he's a musician, but like I've had other musicians offer to help us, but he was like so it was perfect. I was like, "Thanks, Dave." No, we're good.
Yeah, I'm the same way. If somebody walks up and they're like, but I'm not nice about it usually. I'm very like, especially at the end of a gig after somebody's like, "Hey, you can eat." Nope.
Yeah.
And it's just like, nope.
Shut it down.
I got it. Like no, and then even after I get the shit packed up, if somebody tries to carry it, I'm like,
my
nope.
God, don't
Nope.
touch it.
I'm sorry, dude. Adam and Smitty don't even touch this fucking thing. My dad gave me this system for like Christmas this last year, and I'm like, dude, yeah, I'm sorry. This thing has never spent a night outside other than when we were in Boone, and this comes in the house
Oh,
every
we
single night.
Yeah, we towed it in every
like
night.
it's like a child. I give
Yeah.
it a personality. Do y'all talk to your shit? Do you talk to it? I do that. I give it all I'll give it all personalities. It's all alive in my mind, which helps me bring it in. Like I feel like if I'm laying in bed, I feel like it's in my trunk crying to come inside like a dog, you know. And I'm like, I can't.
We
I
had
have to bring it inside.
we had a gig just a couple weeks
I feel
ago.
that way, but
Yeah.
I don't, it's I feel like that hypersensitivity thing, man. I feel like if something's off, I don't know.
Everything has a vibration.
Right? Yeah. There's a frequency.
Yep,
All
yep.
around you at all times.
Always.
and especially when you're standing in the middle of, like, we use two mains and one monitor.
Yeah.
She keeps the monitor very crisp on her, and I have to keep it,
Yeah.
turn that away from me a little bit. But even with all that, I don't know, just playing a gig, like it's like you're feeling out the crowd, the staff. If your gear's running, there's nothing. That's the best gigs are when there's nothing wrong, I guess. Like
Yeah.
there are no weird frequencies catching up on you. Like you can plug in, turn it on, turn it loose, and
Now are you a tweaker?
No.
I used to be, but with this digital stuff,
No, is
there's
that all
too
like with the
much to
iPad
do.
thing?
Yeah, and we
That's
save it.
badass.
Yeah.
It's so much to
Now,
So
do you
you
have do you have like banks saved for each room you play, or is it basically the same?
I have
per
a
room?
preset, basically that
Seth helped us out.
Seth set up.
Yeah.
And I have made slight adjustments for that based on
Yeah, the
based
room
on
sometimes.
rooms, but once I make that adjustment, it stays until I hear another problem, and I'll make it.
Yeah, we just kind of
That's
tweak as we
really
go.
smart.
Like the other day, we were at Whiskey Fish, and I was hearing this really really MIDI, almost like a
from my
feedback
guitar,
from.
I think.
Well, it was my guitar was my D string was like doing something weird.
Yeah.
What I think it is that frequency coming from your guitar through the equipment into my guitar
Oh, maybe so.
because of that crack.
That
I have,
happens
it's
between mine and
always-
Adam's guitar a lot because he's got a
He has-
Martin and I've got a Taylor.
Well, I have a
Well, he has a crack because I
Nice
threw his
crack.
guitar.
in the back
Yeah,
of mine that has
that was
been
back before I found myself.
that's been work. My guitar needs to be serviced so bad, like it needs to have the neck adjusted. And,
He just needs a new guitar.
You gotta talk to Ed Dennis, man.
well,
We use
we
Holt.
got a guy Terry Holt
Terry
lives
Holt.
out actually
Okay.
like right
He's,
down
like,
the road
right
from
by-
us.
Yeah.
You know the
He builds guitars.
Haywire.
spots.
No.
You ever heard the spots play? So it's, I don't know, you might have, no, well, maybe not. I don't think you were at that Springtide event, but it's Terry Holt, or excuse me, Tammy Holt plays the upright bass. She's a little funny lady that works at Coastal.
Okay.
And then Gary Long, who has the music spot in Conway, and a few other guys.
I've heard these names.
Yeah, Shane and them, they have a little band called the Spots, and so Tammy's husband it's called Holt Music Shed, and he's literally 2 streets down from us. And
That's
he's
awesome.
Shout out to the spots.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Hell yeah.
He's amazing.
I
So-
just I had this nice buzz on my G string. There's always a buzz on the G string, y'all. Always. But I had a nice buzz on the G string and yeah. I took it to Ed Dennis and in a day he refretted the first 7 frets on my guitar like in a day.
Jeez.
And like brought it back the next day and it's been perfect ever since and I was just so scared because changing frets is like changing a transmission, you know,
Yeah.
like it's got to be right or it's wrong. And I was just so scared. He did a good job.
Do you does your low E string pick up?
No, does yours?
Yeah, mine does. I remember I played your guitar a few times.
Yeah.
That
Oh,
low
yeah.
E
Well, no, you
string.
said you had the guy that played with you in
Oh, Matt. Yeah.
Whiskey Diablo.
Medicinal whiskey.
Medicinal whiskey.
Matt,
That's right.
Matt Crane, who's now the
Which, by the way,
leader of the bounty hunters at the Bowery.
Bowery.
great name. Medicinal whiskey was
Thanks,
such a
man.
good name.
Thanks.
But yeah, I
He
see
comes
Matt
up with
all
good
the
names.
time.
He came up with Perlino too. Like he's really good at naming stuff. We name other things. Well, anyway, we name a lot of things. We have chickens that are.
Did you name your chickens?
Oh, we
That's
have.
awesome.
She named them.
So yeah, so we have 9 chickens. Well, okay. So how did it start? It's all started with Christofferson. So
I love it.
yeah. So my
He's our
therapist.
oldest cat.
My therapist told me that we needed like an emotional support animal after the miscarriage, like something to take care of. And I was like, well, we
Excuse me.
travel. Bye. I was like, well, we travel so much, like we can't have a dog. We live in an apartment. Blah 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 blah. And she was like, oh, you should get a cat. Well, I'm horrified of cats, like I always have been.
Yeah.
I was like, no, can't do that. She was like, no, you need to. Cameron likes cats. So we ended up getting a cat. We named him Christofferson. He is one of the most neurotic cats I've ever met in my life. And then we were covering the gig for you. You're the reason we have Joplin.
Oh my
So,
goodness. Was
yeah.
it the
The
hold on a
Apple
minute.
Annie's gig.
Oh shucks.
Yeah, so we've never told you this. This is insane. So we had played 2 years ago.
Oh,
Carolina
I know
Country
this
Music
story,
Fest.
I think.
Carolina Country Music Fest, and you called us. We had Saturday night off. We played Saturday
Yeah.
day at the Bowery, and you called us. You're like, "Hey, would you like to pick up a gig at Apple Annie's in Florence tonight?" It was the year y'all were playing the festival.
Yeah, the Grateful
And-
Dog.
yeah.
Or oh no. Yep.
Carolina
Okay.
Country-
Yeah. Okay.
And so
Same
we
page.
went to Apple Annie's, and we on our way back, that was like probably like a 14-day run. I was teaching. It was on a Saturday. And I told Kelsey he was the reason we have Joplin. You totally are. It's crazy. And we love that fucking cat. And we're going down through Marion Forest.
You have to click it a few times.
And it was like 3 a.m. and we were going like 70 miles an hour. And I was just happened to look where the grass meets the pavement. And there was this little tiny white cat face. And I was like, Cameron, there was a cat back there. And he was like, really? And I was like, yeah. I was like, and he was like, well, do you want to turn around? And I said, yeah, let's turn around. Let's go see. So, I mean, you know that stretch. Like, you got to
Yeah.
go for a while before you can turn around.
Oh, yeah.
And then we had to go back for a while, like, before we could turn around again. And I was like, it's somewhere right here. It's right here. He was like, are you sure it's not a possum? Like, I was like, no, it's a cat. And he was, like, straight up, like, right where the pavement meets the grass.
Yeah.
It was 3 a.m. I was like, oh, my God, there he is. So we pull over. And I jump out. I get to where I can touch, and I'm like, oh my God. He was tiny. He had to have been like maybe 2 weeks old, and just tiny. And
There's more ice in the freezer too, Cam.
And I got to where I could touch him, and he smelled me, and he ran across the ditch, like huge ditch, you know, Marion ditch off the side of 501, and up into the woods. And I was like, oh my God, like what the heck? And I was freaking out because he was gone, you know, and Cameron's like, babe, it's okay. Like, he's gone. And I'm like, I could like see him like over in the woods. I was like, oh God, he's going to die. Like, and he's like, it's okay, babe, just get back in the truck. And when Cameron said, I think you said something like, you know, we're in the middle of like nowhere, 3 a.m. on the side of the road, like, you know, let's get back in the truck, kind of thing. And I kind of had like a moment of panic where I was like, oh gosh, yeah. So I jumped back in the truck and I sat there for a minute and I like looked at him and I was like, look, just let me go try one more time, right? And he's like, okay, fine, that's fine. Like, so I jumped back out and I'm like, here, kitty, 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 kitty. I'm like, you dumbass. This wildcat is not going to respond to here, kitty, kitty,
It's probably
kitty.
never heard that before.
Right, never heard this before, ever. So I start going, meow, meow. And he goes, meow, 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 meow. I meowed the cat. I meowed the cat back through the woods, across the ditch, back to me. Cameron's watching the whole thing. And he walks behind me. Cameron's like right behind me. He's like, do not let that cat go. Like, snatch that cat up. And I did. I snatched him. I threw him to Cameron. It's like 3 a.m. We stop at Jimmy Carter's, get water and a thing of food, and he almost
The hot spot.
Yeah, he almost like
It's that one place you
choked
can get
himself.
beer on Sunday.
It's outside of the Blue Owl.
Oh yeah, but he almost choked on the food, and we literally
man.
drove straight to VCA Animal Hospital, and he's.
Got
I'll
him the
have to
shots
show
and
you a
everything.
picture. Oh my God, and he's like. That night, he slept on Cameron's beard. I have to show you the pictures.
I think I might have seen that. I
Slept
might have
on
seen a
Cameron's
picture of that.
beard. And
Did y'all post that to the Facebook back
did.
in the day? I think I
Yes.
remember that.
And so that we pulled like after he slept on Cameron's beard, we pulled like 5 ticks off of him after that night, and he was just covered in fleas. His paws were like burned off from like hot pavement.
Oh.
It was awful, but he is like the biggest spoiled brat now ever. So we have 2 cats named Christopherson.
Is he inside Wildcat? Because I had a Wildcat, and they're
he's
always a
yeah,
Wildcat.
Yeah, he's like
Okay.
Like-
they're always plotting.
He's like a suburban kid playing Wildcat.
yeah.
That's
Like he has some Wildcat. He has some Wildcat
He's
tendencies.
pretty taken
But
care
he's
of.
pretty. Yeah, he's
Like-
pretty.
that's awesome.
Christopherson's probably more wildcat, like as far as skittish.
He's a baby. Like
But Joplin will just lay. Like, I'll show you pictures. It's crazy. But so we have a Christopherson and then we have a Joplin. Then we found out he was a guy, like a boy. So Scott Joplin, not Janis Joplin. So then we got 2 goats.
You got
and-
goats?
Yeah, dude, you have to come to the house. We have a farm. We call it a micro farm. So we have two
That's
goats.
so badass.
And the goats are brother and sister. So then we were like, we gotta name them like a brother and sister name. So they're
Jed
named
and Ellie.
Willie and Bobby.
Oh, Willie and Bobby.
Yeah. So, because boy and girl.
Yeah.
And then our friend that we stay with in Spartanburg, every time we play up there, she found a dog. And she was like, don't you want this dog? So we took the dog. And the dog's name's Trigger. After Willie Nelson's guitar. And
I love y'all.
so we have 9 chickens.
This is great.
We have 9 chickens. And the first ones that we got are Barred Rock, Plymouth Barred Rock. So they're mainly black. And they are the Supremes. So it's Diana, Mary, and Florence. And then we have a yellow buff Orpington, and that's Dolly Parton. And then we have 2 Americanas, and so Janis Joplin and Lucinda.
Oh man, y'all going to see that show?
The LSD
Yeah.
tour. We can't.
Wouldn't me
We've
neither.
missed it like 3 times. Like they've been around
Me
here.
neither.
I would love to go.
Yeah.
But then we have Janice and Lucinda. Then we have 2, Joni Mitchell and Emmylou Harris, and then we have Winona.
Oh, Winona.
Winona's a Rhode
She's
Island
red.
Red.
Rhode Island Red.
Emmylou Harris and Joni Mitchell are
Sapphire Gems.
they're called Sapphire Gems.
So
But they're like a sex-linked chicken. It's like a I don't really know. It's come from breeding specific breeding
Yeah.
patterns that have created.
It's like a strain of pot, basically.
Yeah.
essentially. But
For real.
they're supposed to be
But they're, like,
pretty predominant
pretty
egg
gray.
layers. Yeah, they were like maybe the roosters are blue because the gray.
I don't know. They were
ones kinda
supposed to.
look like-
We were excited. They were supposed to be like really blue. They're not really blue. So
Well,
They
there's
have
still
red
time.
earlobes. Yeah.
they're pretty. Like,
Oh,
don't
yeah,
get me wrong.
They're not laying
yeah,
yet
they're-
either, so they're still.
How long?
The feathers constantly change.
Yeah, it's
Like,
insane.
the
So, but
colors
like
of those chickens
Lucinda,
has evolved incredibly.
Yeah.
yeah. So
They're
Lucinda,
beautiful birds.
like straight up looks like Lucinda. Like,
The big hair.
I swear, it's insane because we named her before all that happened, and she like grew into her name or something. It's insane.
I think that there is psychology behind the growing into your name.
I was thinking that the other day as somebody was checking me out. There's this girl checking me out. Where was I? I was at Ross, and she had like.
My mom used to say that a lot. I wish I'd have gave you a different name.
Jeez. Well, my mom like went to Nashville when she was like 20, so that's why my name is Gentry Rose, and that's what a lot of people call me. You know, that's my first
Yeah.
name. So, and when I went to Nashville and tried to like make it, I had this guy tell me that he was like, "If you don't make it, it's your own damn fault. You got a name." I was like,
That's the most Nashville thing I've ever heard.
"Jeez." Okay, thanks.
I don't know how I feel about Nashville.
I hated it.
How do you like my affliction button up pearl snap?
Yeah, exactly. Like with your bedazzled britches.
So I like tried. Like
You do nail put an age limit on them things.
it's.
Yeah.
Ugh. I tried it. Like I went. I knew one girl, and saved up about $8,000 and went for about 6 months, and never made a dime. I played a lot of. I was invited to play a couple of the songwriter circles to be like the showcase songwriter, and I met with BMI, and they told me they're like we could sell your stuff, but you can't play your stuff, and I was like bye.
That's the thing I hate is that you'll go and meet with these folks that you've waited all your lives to have this meeting, and then they tell you, you know what, you have really good shit, you got really good music, and we want to take that, but we're gonna let somebody else record that.
Yeah.
We've got music for you, and I'm like, yeah. I told Adam and Smitty, I was like, if that's your end game, just count me out because I'm
Yeah.
not part of that.
Yeah.
I'm
Well, it's different now. Like now too that I've like seen Chris and Morgan Stapleton's success. Like, cause they were both writers at a publishing house.
Yeah.
And that's how they met. And that story is very inspiring to me. as far as they've written for some amazing people, and Morgan's like her voice is like
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
God knows, like, but they are very particular in Nashville as far as like what they push and how it looks, and how you look, and
Insert thank God for Jason Isbell.
right. So with that, and then the Margot Prices and like the Nikki Lanes and
Yeah.
the Sturgills and all that coming. I don't know. I think some stuff's getting shook up.
Oh,
know?
100%. Like this is the thing. It's like the horse is bucking finally. It's like
Yeah.
we've been okay. You've been steering us in a direction for however long. We're sick of where you're taking us, so we're gonna show you what we think.
And I think
And-
I think it's more of like a worldview too. Like everybody's like, just do your thing, man. Like just don't be an asshole, but like just do your thing, and like be you. I think the world has kind of become more accepting, lately too. So maybe I'm wrong.
No, I think, and honestly, I think a lot of that is perception too. Like I remember just. Somebody told me one time when I first started doing a podcast, they were like, "Man, you just bitch about shit all the time, man. Just all you do is bitch." And I was like, "You know what? Maybe the world might not be that bad if you just like look at it a little differently." And I was like,
Yeah.
Right.
"Thank you, listener."
Yeah. Well, no, that's like what I've been saying for the longest. Well, not for the longest time, but it's been like the new thing that I've been saying. I'm like, it's all perception. It's all how you look.
Perception is reality.
It is crazy how much perception has to do with things. It's absolutely crazy, because I know that there were plenty of times where I was this past spring, being at a new school, having a different schedule, and having new kids, and kind of teaching like college credit classes for the first time. I was in over my head,
Yeah.
but I was also not very loving and forgiving towards myself about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't have a good perception about it. And this summer, I don't know, there was never like a defining moment where I changed my perception about things, but I did start to say, if something's wrong, I'm not even going to talk about it anymore. I'm just going to try to fix it. Like, I'm just going to, let's move forward. Like,
Yeah.
So, but it's definitely comes down to a lot of perception. But yeah, I think things are getting shook up in the music world.
It's about damn time, and I really don't pay much attention to it anymore. I really try to keep away from that. As far as like, I don't really listen to radio or know what's going on.
I'm completely
Yeah, we
removed
don't-
from current events.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
don't do anything. Like the other day, I
I mean, I
kind
get
of
my news from
panicked.
Reddit, but other than
I kind of panicked the other day because I went on Instagram and like Mars was trending, and so I went and like the video, the first video that popped up was this big like comment thing, and I was like, oh my God, has Mars like exploded and I didn't even know? Because that's just how far out of the
Yeah.
loop I am. Like, not that
it's
would
been
happen,
very
but, like,
visible lately.
yes, I guess that's why.
I've been
know.
checking it out.
Nice.
I like want to try one of those
Yeah.
things out.
I don't know if it'll still be. It may be dark enough by the time we
How
finish
dark
this.
does it have to be?
Not as dark as you would think, especially with the newer telescopes. It's a lot better here than other places because right here there's no like street lights.
Oh, yeah, dude.
Until like way over here.
Yeah.
There's none right on top of me. You
Oh,
know?
let me tell you, I was walking down a street by myself, a dirt road in Africa, in Uganda, Jinja, Uganda, in Africa, and it was
I'm already impressed.
the darkest sky I'd ever seen in my life. It was like black velvet with Christmas lights poked through it.
Shit.
I had gotten
What
away
are the
from
stars
the group.
like out there?
You're like really not supposed to get away from the group, and I totally did.
What are the stars like out there?
It's ridiculous. Like straight up, if you took a sheet of black velvet and poked Christmas lights through it,
Huh.
like legit, it's insane. It's unlike anything you've ever seen. I mean, and I was raised on a farm, so I was raised
Yeah.
away from stuff, but it's darker there. I was like, it is gorgeous.
See, I don't think I'll ever be able to go anywhere like that because I won't ever get in an airplane. I just,
Of
That was
airplane
that was-
stories.
yeah,
that was a big thing for me. So I was
That was a
flying.
big deal last November.
Yeah, I was flying. Speaking of, I was flying a lot whenever I was about 19, 20.
yeah.
And the first flight I ever took was to Mississippi to see my dad. And and it was fine. My grandma flew with me, and it was fine. And I was nervous, but I hadn't experienced panic attacks, right?
Yeah.
So then I went to Africa. That was insane. Like we flew Emirates, which everything is like first class. It was a double decker
Yeah.
plane. It was 2-story. It's crazy.
Arab Emirates.
Yeah. Yeah. And they like give you
yeah.
backpacks and shit like
They
full
don't
of
fuck
stuff.
around.
No. They like everybody gets your blanket that you can keep. It's like crazy. And they're like, now we're going to now turn out the lights. You have a good night or whatever. And it dims the whole thing and there's like constellations on the ceiling. Like it's insane. Like the stuff that they do. They do crazy stuff. So I landed in Dubai, which was also crazy. Like insane. Like gold in the walls and shit. And
Yeah, Dubai I think is the richest city in the world.
yeah, it's insane. Well, they like made an island like in the shape of a palm tree. You know that, right?
That's thug shit right there.
Yeah, it's insane there. It's crazy. And we, by accident, we had like it was something stupid like a 20-hour layover at the airport.
Yeah.
And we were also supposed to stay together. And we accidentally went outside. And it was just like straight up guys with machine guns. I was like, I made a mistake. Can I just turn around? I did not mean to come outside. I'm so sorry. Like, let me just go back inside. It's just totally different over there. But after all that stuff, I came back and I still flew some. But I went through a bad relationship when I was about 21, breakup, and went down to Mississippi to... My biological father lived in Mississippi at the time, and I just went to like have like a real like heart-to-heart with him, and had a horrible panic attack as we were taking off, and did not fly since then. Like my grandma bought me a ticket to go to Alaska with her, and I got to the airport, had a meltdown, and didn't get on the plane. Like didn't go to Alaska with my grandma. Like,
oh man,
it was, yeah, that sucks. Like, that's bad. So then I took this job at the new school I'm at, and they were like, well, you have to go to Texas in, last October to get certified to do these college.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, Cameron can go with me. And so Cameron went with me, and, I did take some medicine to manage my panic, that I'm prescribed through a psychiatrist to manage that, But as soon as I got up, I started crying because I was so proud of myself, for doing that. And I remembered how much I love to fly. It's gorgeous. Flying is beautiful. It's a beautiful thing.
Oh
and
man,
all I think about.
I like it from down here.
Well, but I hear you. I totally get that. But if you think about, the physics behind it I think that's what catches a lot of people up. Because once you get up there and you're looking, if you like beautiful imagery, it is, you're captivated at that point, So I just keep thinking about Leonardo da Vinci and how he figured out flight a long time before actually we have the technology now, and
to see man's expectation will always exceed his grasp. He knew back then that this will be possible.
If we're talking about Leonardo da Vinci, we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, well, I don't know enough. I don't really know enough to really talk about that. Smitty talks about Da Vinci a lot. He's apparently been reading some Da Vinci book lately, or so he says. I don't. Yeah.
Well,
you know how these things go, but yeah,
Smitty.
Yeah, he's we actually did another cornbread episode of Cornbread Podcast. We had a cornbread podcast too.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, we just get together and just argue for about an hour and then share it with the world. And then share it with the world. No, we seriously got in this thing the other day where Smitty was sitting there talking about, man, he hated dead air. He hated dead space, like dead air on the mic or whatever. And I was like, well, I left my water in the car the other day at Whiskey Fish, and I walked all the way to my fucking car and back to the stage, and neither you nor Ed Dennis said a word on the microphone, so you obviously don't hate it that much.
Right.
But yeah, we just argue about shit like that all the time.
Yeah,
But
people-
anyway, that's what that's for. But back to the Da Vinci thing. Brilliant minds. It's like, it's funny to see. Like, I wonder the kind of concepts that we can have as humans today that won't be possible for years on down the line, but will be possible one day. But hey, you know what's funny is we're too lazy to write it down.
let me tell you something. It's pretty wild being a teacher, especially teaching art. I've had this conversation with many people, and I'm totally glad that I'm going to be saying this, and hopefully somebody important can hear it. I don't know, but we are completely there's a TED talk about it, Sir Ken Robinson, like where he talks about our schools killing creativity, and I think that we did.
Absolutely.
I think we did for a long time, and I think that we're trying to come out of it. And I think it's a situation where, like, kids who are juniors and seniors now, they're still ruined, like how much we've tested them, and how we've done them. And they come to me and I say, okay, guys, this is what I'm thinking. Like, this is kind of the inspiration behind it. Here's my example. I even give them a timeline, like, you should be here by here. They cannot. They struggle. I shouldn't say they cannot. They struggle with creating, having time management skills for themselves.
Yeah.
And also with creative thought, like creating something that is like completely original.
Yeah, people.
We're in a world where you just, and the rare ones now, the people who are rare are people who are not connected, who are like doing their own thing. Like creating, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like, you might sit and listen to a podcast, like I don't know how many podcasts I've listened to, but I've never been a part of one. You know what I mean? This is like so cool. Like, you're doing.
I'm stoked about it.
Yeah, but you're like doing it. There's nothing to it, to anything but doing it.
That was one of the biggest qualms. Like, I have an addictive personality, and I'm pretty sure I've said that, and I'm pretty sure that's been apparent in a lot of my episodes, but. I will go, just like you said earlier, I'll go hard at whatever it is I'm doing. And once I figured out, like, okay, well, there's nothing else, like what, if I start to, like, when I used the cocaine to get off of the alcohol, once I realized, okay, well, I shouldn't really be doing this anymore. And outside of the podcast I was doing with Noah, like, when I finally started doing this one by myself, it was like, okay, well, I'm just going to stop doing everything else, and I have to put that, I have to feed that monster something.
Yeah.
And this is what that ended up being. And I'm glad that he's satisfied with this, because I haven't needed anything else other than that. But
yeah, no, I get that. I had a talk with my therapist at the time, and whenever I was younger, I struggled with cutting, and then after the miscarriage, I did again. I struggled with it again, and it's a control thing, and it's just it's an awful coping mechanism. It's what you do. We all have coping things that are addictive that we do to deal with pain and emotions that maybe we can't vocalize, that maybe we don't feel comfortable talking about, or maybe we feel like we're not supposed to cry, or maybe we feel like we're not supposed to get mad, or like I threw a fern across our apartment after like that happened. I was a mess, but she told me, and I'll never forget her saying this. I was very, very reserved and very like, she was like, well, and I shared with her that I was doing that, and she was like, well, why don't we, you can trade that for something else. And I'm like, yeah, but I'm trading it for something else. And she looked at me in the eye and she said, Gentry, I think we're both intelligent enough to know that there are things, habits, even if you trade them, that are healthier than that.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. That's the whole catch of all of it is, yeah, you can totally trade some things for other things, and those things be healthier. And it doesn't make you less of a person. It just makes you, you're choosing a more healthy habit or more healthy addiction.
Yes.
However you want to label it.
Exactly.
But I think that we can all intelligently say, doing this is probably
Yeah, this is much healthier than the other
as
shit.
is, all the things that I've decided to do outside of that type of behavior.
And going back to the whole creativity thing, where there's not a lot of there's not a lot of kids, and I'm glad that you were in the school system and basically in control of at least a few kids' creativity, or to try to feed that to them,
I'm sure you try.
and that's all you can do. But there's not a lot of people who are driving these kids to have their own thoughts. Like they don't want. George Carlin said it best. They don't want you having your own thoughts. Like they don't want you. I don't want you thinking for yourself or coming up with your own theories and ideas or anything. And before I was doing this, I went hard into writing songs, where I was just trying to write something every day, even if it wasn't a song or even a full song or whatever. If it was a line, I would write something every day, that came into my head, and I'm like, oh shit, I need to remember this. Or whatever. And I mean, I think that there's just not enough. There's not enough of that creativity being harnessed, and honestly, it's not anybody's fault other than that's really not what's being rewarded.
Right.
It's really not being rewarded.
Right. So I completely agree with that. It's I did a big thing with my students last year where I don't know, I just got kind of fed up because they weren't being creative, at all.
Yeah.
And I told them, and there's a YouTube video about, school and, how school was created and the way that we teach it, or the way that it's changing, it's shifting. But a lot of what we do here in America, public schools, it is it's for industrial revolution. It's for you to join the workforce. In the you've got a book. Yes. So yes, it's for you to. So there's
industrial society in its future.
So there's this video on YouTube, and I watched it, and I got really detested with all of it this past spring. And I was talking to my kids, and I was like, "Why are y'all here?" And they were like, "What do you mean?" And I was like, "Why are y'all here? Why are you here in this classroom?" And they were like, "Well, because we have to be." And I said, "Well, why do you have to be?" And a couple of them who had too many absences, they were like, "Because it's the law.
Yeah.
And our parents will go to jail if we're not." I said, "Well, think about that." And what I told them, and I'm also reading a book right now called The French Art of Not Giving a Shit. And in that book...
Clavier.
Yeah, it's great. In that book, it talks about how you can know the rules of society and of industry and of whatever you're in, and you can use them to your advantage. So I try to open their minds to know, hey, if you're here and it's the law and you're going to be here for 8 hours, get the most out of it that you can.
Yeah.
Learn as much as you can. Think outside the box. Use the rules to your advantage.
Absolutely.
So I rub a lot of people the wrong way. I'm kind of a renegade, but I think that's crucial.
That's necessary.
It's crucial to the world now. We can't. We're still teaching somewhat like we were, when we were in school, and that's not the world we're in now.
Not at all. It's a whole different world, and it's more different every day, it seems.
Yeah, it's really wild. And the technology thing hit everybody at the same time. Parents couldn't say, this is what to expect. It hit everybody. Everybody was touched by technology at the same time, at the same rate. And, parents couldn't be like, oh, this is what prom's going to be like.
Yeah, because, Jesus, there's no secrets anymore.
Yeah, it's really wild.
See, prom nights, I don't even want to think about that. Imagine just the hellacious things. I'm thinking about just how bad it was when I was going to that shit. And it's only going to get worse. Poor kids.
Did you go to prom?
I went to my junior prom.
I went to prom.
I wouldn't give a shit. I went to prom a few times. I went to prom after I graduated with my girlfriend who was still in high school. It was very, very weird now that I heard myself say that.
Yeah.
No, but I I didn't give a shit. I was a good boy. We were in a church together. I was a church boy. I was playing lead guitar in the praise and worship band at Ocean Drive Presbyterian Church with Brother Greg Rolls of Not the News. And Bobby Gabriel of Alabama Theater.
Nice.
The band leader of Alabama Theater.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was involved in all that shit for a few. I say that shit.
I did that
You know what I
too.
mean, bro? You know what I mean, man?
I did that too.
I got out of that.
I used to do praise and worship at a Southern Baptist church in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. That was held in a house that had been renovated. They knocked out a few walls and made, a sanctuary. But it was just like sitting in a house.
That's
There
awesome.
There was nothing churchy about it. And I ended up kind of taking over the music there for a little bit. But all I ever did was like old hymns, like,
That's the best
old
stuff.
Yeah.
country Christian
Oh,
stuff.
yeah.
And
Leaning on the everlasting arms,
yeah,
man.
man, I was that lasted only a few weeks. That's when I first got a dobro too. Like I started messing around with a resonator for the first time then, and like picking up on open tunings and working with a bar,
Yeah, I've never tried any of that.
I got to where you can, I don't know, that's something that I feel like I've just not taken full advantage of is where I am today, how long I've been playing guitar and like where I am at technically with it at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah, just in the time that we've known each other, he's gotten.
Are you
I'm not-
disagreeing?
No, I just don't want to set any false pretense here. I am in no way, shape, or form a technical guitar player. I can keep time and rhythm with myself really good. So like if
Yeah.
I'm shaking a foot shaker and strumming a guitar, like I can keep what I'm doing.
The
in time,
individual
you know?
machine working, yeah.
Right.
I'm the same way.
Well, we had to get a lot better about that though. Daryl kind of backed out and became like second drummer
Yeah.
in December, and Ray came in, and Ray is like, he's great, but he is like, tell me exactly what you want.
Yeah.
Daryl's groovy. Like
Daryl
Daryl's so groovy.
is water.
Yeah. Daryl's so
He
groovy.
fills the container which he's in.
Yeah, he's so groovy. And so initially, it was really hard because we were so used to Daryl being so groovy with stuff, and Ray wanted to be very technical about stuff. And I was struggling, and I don't know if you felt like you were struggling, but I was struggling, and I was kind of telling him like it's like da 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 da. I was trying.
Yeah.
So then we start practicing with these guys. We're in a room. We're at Tom Smith's garage.
Right here?
Right there with Tom Smith, George Davis, and Ray Robb, and us. And they're talking back and forth to each other. I learned so much listening to them talk technically.
Oh, yeah.
And we were going was it 2 times a week or it was once a week? It was at one point it was twice a week.
Yeah.
Like Tuesdays and Thursdays we would come down just so we could get Ray, into
Yeah.
the set. And I learned so much. I told them that. I was like, y'all understand how much I'm learning just listening to these veteran musicians.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. I can say the same
amazing.
thing.
It was absolutely amazing. And so now, I feel a lot better about, calling out, saying, okay, like, for example, like when we do Jambalaya, we go from, we do a weird timing.
Yeah, it's like
Tempo
does Tom Smith still do it the same way?
Yeah, but then we go into halftime for for the chorus.
It's like a Grateful
do.
Dead version.
We do halftime through the verse and full time through the chorus.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we amp it up, and he's just gotten it, man. He's a good drummer. He does a good job.
Yeah, I never played with Ray. I had Daryl.
He was in the Tams.
He was in the Tams.
Oh shit.
Yeah, and he also drummed for Dave Allen Co.
Well, I'll be damned. I did not know that.
He's been around. He was a studio drummer in Nashville.
The best players, Hanlon, all the best pickers are your studio guys that come out of Nashville.
And he was like taking notes at band practice. I was like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm noting signatures and da 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 da." I was like,
Tom
"Dude."
Hanlon did the same exact
that's-
thing. He would have a notebook and he would, okay, you want to, okay, just
Oh yeah.
then back down. Tom Hanlon still calls me every now and again.
Oh God, that's a funny man.
Hello, Kelsey. How are you? It's like, man, I'm good, Hanlon. It's good to see you, buddy.
He's so funny.
Oh, Tom, I miss that, man. I miss I always felt like that was like the first thing, because and obviously Cornbread is very like, I don't even know how to describe what Cornbread is, but it's definitely not organized by any means. And then I got involved in the Winchesters thing, and like I realized that like, okay, these guys are gonna they're it's gonna be verse, chorus, verse, chorus, verse, chorus, chorus out. And I mean that's how it's gonna be. And I was like, okay, that's cool. So it was the first few times I played that gig I was like totally out of my element. Like, dude, this is organized. This is not me. I'm not an organized person. I don't know how to feel about this, but okay. And then just like you said, I learned so much, like technical things. I've learned by ear, and I didn't know what I was doing really. I could do it, but I didn't know what I was fucking doing until those guys were like, okay, so you're doing this, this, and this. And I was like,
Sure.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I said.
Yeah, but everything that you do, like for I totally understand it, but like you have such an for what I call technique, like all of the accenting, the sparkles, not just strumming chords back to back in time, but like
Glitter.
being vocal with your guitar, the stuff that you do. I believe that you don't know what you're doing, because the little bit that I've come into that
Yeah.
at this point, I still have no idea what I'm doing, and I'm actively thinking about it, like, and not really comprehending even what I'm doing. I understand that, like on the G and the B string,
Yeah.
if you hold the same fret on both of those strings, that's like a minor representation. Like you're playing, so you can play little solo notes. In minor,
exactly.
And that's minor, but if you offset them one, then you have like the beginnings of a triad.
Yeah.
And if you offset it the other way, well, that's where the beginnings of the triad is, and then you offset it towards the sound hole.
No, I don't know
and then
anything
it's
about
the major
triads.
chord.
I don't
Then it's
know
the major.
anything y'all are talking
Yeah.
about right now.
Well, I my theory and what I've told Adam
Thank you. I
is
feel like
like
I have just made an ass of myself.
no, not at all, not at all. No, that's that. But I get what you're saying.
Music guys are gonna be like, "What the fuck is he talking about? What is this guy rambling about?"
No. This is
Very exciting to
I
me.
think it's like chord shape though, like kind of what you're talking about is more like
I see everything
knowing
in
the
boxes.
shapes. Yeah.
I see everything
See.
in boxes and shapes. Like
Yeah, I see shapes too.
I
Cause
don't.
You don't? Oh, see. Well, how do you see it? You talk.
I don't see it. It's
Yeah.
it's a muscular.
happens.
and
thing.
I say see it. I don't look at what I'm doing really. I just when I in my head.
Well, no,
I've
I've tried to picture like these are the pentatonic notes for this
Yeah.
scale, and it doesn't translate when I'm actually doing it.
yeah, I hear that.
Like I can't consider what I don't know all the notes on a guitar neck. Like,
Well, the only thing that you need to know is to know that you're only one fret away from being right if you're wrong.
Yeah, he kind of said that the other day. We've got some original stuff that we've been working on, and
That's awesome.
He kind of
Do the
like
original stuff.
yeah. Well, he kind of like has been
That
writing
keeps you sane.
some cool stuff like for it, and
You're only one fret away from being right if you're wrong at all times.
At all times.
Really?
Absolutely.
what you said the other
You're
day
only
was
one
very
fret away.
similar to that.
Either up or down. You're only one fret away from being right if you're wrong. Always.
And he said that
I know
the
my
other
problem
day. He
is I
said,
overthink it, and then I can't, because I'm thinking too hard on it, I don't retain it.
yeah, George Davis said that the other day. Something was going wrong with his rig, and he was like, "Well, and he said it so. George Davis is so cool,
George
Like,
Davis
he
is
is
a
like-
monster blues player.
but he's like
Monster guitar player,
that
period.
period. But
Yeah,
he's
for
like
sure.
one of the coolest people I've ever met.
Yeah.
Like
he really
just
is.
such a cool cat, you know. And he was like, "How I can't imitate him. Cameron kind of can, and it sounds really good. You know how George talks."
Oh, yeah.
It's so particular. And he was getting flustered, and he said, so cool, so collected. He's like, well, my rig's not working, but I'm under some stress right now. And you can't think straight when you're under stress, so I'll figure it out when I get home. And I was just like,
That's such a well-balanced mentally
Jesus.
person's
Yeah, I
response
was
to
like,
that.
gosh,
How do you get there, George?
Gandhi.
He lives down the road, too.
Yeah, it's wild.
Nah, George is a fantastic guitar player, and I love listening to all those little nuggets of wisdom that those guys will spew out.
yeah.
Because they don't even, I don't think if you think they realize that they're saying that most of the time, it'll just like fall out.
And Tom Smith is just Tom Smith, you know.
Tom Smith
It's just always okay.
Tom Smith reminds me of like the hardware store guys that you they're always, every time they saw you, it was it could be months or years or whatever, and it's just like they're just so happy to see you that time. Tom Smith always reminded me of those hardware store guys that my granddad used to, and I'm not calling you old granddad, Tom. Don't judge
Well,
me.
he's about to be a granddad.
Yeah, that's right. He's about to be a
So,
granddad.
and he's not young.
That's right.
So,
But not
just
not
kidding.
like, man, Kelsey told me. Like, man, nah. But seriously, like, I associate that with those guys that I used to always see my granddad hanging out with at the parts store or whatever, and
yeah.
I don't know, it's just like that throwback to somebody like you could have been one of those people that I knew from back home here. So like Tom Smith was a constant for me.
Yeah, he's very.
We drove through old downtown Bennettsville not too long
Oh,
ago.
yeah.
Bennettsburg is still
God
there.
knows.
Yeah, we went up, I think it was at that 38
Don't
that
speed
goes
in
through
there.
Blenheim and all that.
Yep.
On up through
Good old
Bennettsville, we were heading up
Blenheim ginger ale.
to. Yeah, man.
Oh God, we love that
The
stuff.
best.
Get you some spiced
Get
Blenheim
that-
ginger ale.
Get that pink top.
Pink top.
Oh, yeah.
The hot stuff.
The hot stuff. Dude, I could never do it.
I love
Oh,
it,
we
man.
love it. We love
It
it.
makes me sneeze, but I
We
love
we
it.
buy it and
I
yeah.
love ginger.
Does that clear you out?
Oh yeah, it's great. I love it.
Well, it's more like a, I don't know.
It does
just
me.
Like,
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
it's not like a, I can't even think of the word. It's not like sneezing out like a shotgun blast of debris. It's not very, I
Graphic.
feel like,
It's like a pepper sneeze.
dang.
Yes.
It's like a
Yeah.
inside kind of sensation from the backside. And
But it's very
Yeah.
fulfilling sneeze.
it's a fulfilling.
It's like
Oh,
such a
man, those fulfilling
sneeze.
sneezes,
You know
nothing
that?
like
It's
that.
not a gross.
There's nothing like that.
It's like deep and hearty and
It's a real good
Unless you
sneeze.
got like a bear in the cave or something, that could probably force it out. But
Yeah, exactly. Fun stuff. Well, guys, we have just clicked over the 2-hour mark. Can you believe it?
Jesus.
Can you believe it?
I know I
You guys,
ramble.
you guys are talking about doing originals though. You writing some shit.
Yeah, we've
some
got.
stuff.
Well, we kind of came up with a concept album.
I love it.
Yeah. So, and I think what it's probably going to turn into, if I'm not mistaken, is it's probably going to turn into an EP instead, because it's about 5 or 6 solid songs to
Yeah.
this story, and it's a Western type story, And
Hell yeah, I got one of those.
yeah, it's really cool. So like all 6 songs revolve around the same plot. And it's been really fun to write those songs. But we also have some more like personal songs that will probably go into like an LP. But I think that we've talked to a guy who I think we're gonna go ahead and go with. Is it Aiken or Augusta? He's in Augusta.
I met him in Augusta.
He's in Augusta or Aiken. I don't know. He does Kenny George and them
Oh,
stuff.
right on.
Sean Guest, and he's gonna. We've talked to him about recording. I think we're gonna go ahead and bite the bullet this fall and go ahead and get the EP done.
Yeah, we're talking about doing that in the fall too. It's always easier to do that when you're
You
not
do it now.
over it, because I mean, shit, you guys know how it is. We're over it. In the middle of the summer, we're just,
Yeah.
I don't want to hear another fucking song. I don't want to play another fucking song. I love you, but I'm just
Yeah,
over it.
we
You
did.
spend most of the time playing music. It's not originals.
Yeah.
You know, like most of the time we actually spend here to fulfill
Yeah.
our usefulness to
fine.
the area.
There's
which
not a
is-
lot of, there's
Right.
not a lot of room for that in this area.
But the cool thing is we are inspired by a lot of the stuff that we do play. And I heard when the Apron Strings were talking about like how Jeff was like, yeah, I'm just pretty stubborn. I've just kind of done it my way. Like, you know,
Yeah.
their catalog. And we're pretty stubborn about stuff too, as far as like what we play. We do throw in some, but we do pretty obscure stuff.
I want to say
And,
this: you guys 100% have stuck to your
yeah, we have a sound for sure.
your sound, and there's something to be said for that. Like
we're trying to showcase
Yeah, and-
our voices together. That's what I think we have going on. Like that's what
The
pushing.
harmony heavy stuff is
Yeah.
totally right up our alley. But anyway, so some of our original stuff we'll sneak it in, and
do you tell them usually, or you just let it be?
after they clap really loud, I'll tell them that was an original song. If they don't, I'm just like, let's do the next one.
I was like, yeah, that was a.
Keep it rolling.
Red-headed stranger.
Be like, yeah, Adam wrote that song. But yeah, that's awesome. No, I'm glad to hear that you guys are doing some originals. I told Jeff and Jen that I was just really envious of the fact that they got to make music with people they love. I could tell you guys the same thing. I wish, and I say I wish. I don't know if that'd probably not be the best thing for me because I'm not the greatest person to be in a band with, but. I one day would hope to do that. I see Jason and Amanda do it, and obviously Morgan and Chris. You guys,
It's
jealous of yous.
Well, Margot's
very
husband
lucky.
is in her band as well. Margot Price's
Oh, right
husband is she was
Gillian
actually.
and David.
Are they a pair?
I think so. Are they?
I don't know. I've never known.
Jeff said they were. Jeff told me that they were, and I feel like he
Okay.
would know.
Yeah, I just never knew. Like I never. They're very. I don't know. Just
They didn't. Yeah, they don't have the same last name.
well, that we don't either though.
Yeah. Well. Yeah. Exactly.
I mean, we got
Anything
married
like
at
that.
Atlas Tap House.
That's pretty
So-
badass.
That's where we met.
Yeah,
See, man, not just everything I learned about y'all, love you even more.
and we
Hooker
didn't
married
tell
us.
anybody. Hooker married us.
You know that I used to edit papers for Hooker. Really? Back in the day, I used to like there was one of my buddies had one of Hooker's classes, and he gave me a paper to edit pretty much or grade. And I was like, here you go. You make these corrections, and I guarantee you'll get an A. I never found out about it, but yeah.
we
I always tell Hooker that.
He was at Whiskey Fish, and Cameron had, well, the whole thing. Like, I was apprehensive about getting married, and then we had talked. He had been looking at like rings, and I was like, "Don't give me a ring. Like, I won't wear a ring. Like, da 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 da." I was like,
I
"Give me
love this
something
story.
useful." I was like, "Just get me something useful. Like, you can get me a guitar." And he was like, "Okay." So we start looking around for guitars, and we end up. I decided on one, and we were back to the original store, and I was like, "This is just the one." What?
We looked at a lot of really cool guitars
We looked
and
at
a
a lot.
lot of really cool music shops all over
All over the
the
state.
state.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we were traveling and playing at the time, and I was like, let's just stop here. Let's just stop here, you know. We looked at a lot of really cool places, and
You'll find some gems in those spots.
yeah, it was awesome. But I was dead set on the one I got, which is the Gretsch, and it's just gorgeous. And so we were at the store getting it, or sorry, looking at it. And Cameron was like, "You got a box for this thing, man?" And like we had talked about it being a substitute for a ring, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And he's like, "You got a case that fits this?" And the guy's like, "Yeah." He was like, "Well, wrap it up." Like, and I was like, "Wait a minute, are we getting this right now? Like, we're buying this today?" Like, and Cameron's like, "Yeah, we'll get it right now." And so I've never gotten a brand new electric guitar ever. And he's like, we get in the truck and he's like all cool, calm, and collected. And I'm like, "Wait a minute." He was like, "What?" And I was like, "Well, we talked about this being like an engagement ring type deal. Like, are we engaged at this point?" Like, and he was like, "Well, will you marry me?" And I was like,
Oh,
"Well, sure."
Oh, my
it was
heart.
just, that's all it was.
Oh,
It
my
was so,
heart.
It was so like, he was so suave about it. And I was like, "Geez."
That's so adorable.
So then we told Hooker, and he was like, "I swear to God," he was like, "I will get, what is it called? Ordained.
Yeah.
If y'all let me marry you." And so we were like, "Okay, cool." So he did. And we just called him up on New Year's Day. And we were like, "Okay, today's the day. You want to meet us at Atlas?" Like, we had just...
Did you guys tell anybody?
No, we went into
That
Atlas.
is fucking great.
We went into Atlas, had a beer.
There was like 3-4 other people in there.
Yeah, it was...
It was right before the Alabama-Clemson game.
All of our friends that bartended were there, and we didn't tell anybody. And we walked right outside.
Yeah, we just kind of sat around and drank beer and talked with Hooker for a little bit, kind of visited with him,
And then he was like, "All right,
walked
guys."
outside.
He's like, "I'm going to get back to the game. You want to listen? I'm going to get back down to the house to watch the game. Like, y'all want to do this?" And we're like, "Yeah, sure." So we walked outside. We got married right where we met, like the spot we were introduced.
That's fucking beautiful.
Yeah, so we didn't do rings or anything, but we ended up getting tattoos.
Society of the Cross Keys.
Society of the Cross Keys.
Oh, man.
Because we're
Wes
also,
Anderson.
we're extreme,
We're
like
Wes Anderson
of
freaks.
Files.
I've tried and I couldn't. I just couldn't do it. I tried with the Tenenbaums. I tried with shit. What was the other one I watched?
We can be friends anymore.
No, I'm sorry.
Did
I
you watch
know.
Darjeeling? The Darjeeling
Nah.
one, too?
Did you watch
Was it
Grand
Rushmore?
Budapest? Okay, wait. You gotta come to the
Fantastic Mr.
house.
Fox?
You just
I've watched. The only one that I watched was the Royal Tenenbaums.
okay. That's fine. Okay, we'll convert you.
Okay, I'm fine with
fine.
that.
We have all of them except for Bottle Rocket.
We can lure you with cake
Oh, we have cake.
and other things, and you can come see all the animals.
Absolutely.
We can watch like 4 movies
In
in one sitting.
I'm a movie watcher.
And
I'll
lay
watch 2
hands on you.
movies. I'll watch 2 movies tonight before I go to bed.
We'll lay
Right
hands
on.
on you.
That's
So,
all.
so you'll be a Wes Anderson person.
Listen, I grew up in the church. I know the power of laying hands.
Oh gosh, yeah, we like Wes Anderson and the Society of the Cross Keys. Basically, the representation of the tattoo is like in the movie The Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah.
All the concierges, there is a Society of the Cross Keys, and it's all of the head concierges, and they call on each other in times of like ultimate distress and trouble. And
that's
they're
nice.
they're like always there. Like there's a big scene where they're like calling from phone to phone and phone to phone, and they're like always there for each other no matter what.
Oh,
kind of
that's
thing.
sweet.
So yeah.
Well, good. I don't mind that. Like I said, and I don't even think I made it very far into the Tenenbaums because I might have been just like,
That
are all
one-
those movies like this? And I because Jared Smith, not Smitty. Do you know Jared Smith, not Smitty?
I don't.
I think I've met him.
He used to
I
hang
feel
out
like-
at Bubba's all the time. He played trivia with us.
I feel like I do know him, and
He's
like I said, I haven't been around in like 2
Yeah.
years outside of gigging. So
and obviously there's nothing wrong with that. Spend as much time alone as you need
Right.
to get through the things that you're trying to work through, because that's absolutely necessary. But Jared Smith is a big proprietor of Wes Anderson as well, and he their team name was Zissou
Nice.
when they played trivia, like Team Zissou, and yeah.
Well, I have a Wes Anderson sleeve that I'm working on with a local tattoo artist. So I'm gonna eventually have a whole sleeve of Wes Anderson stuff.
I've had a Harry Potter sleeve idea forever
Dude,
that I'll
fucking
never
do it.
I'll probably never do
Why
it.
not?
Because I don't know. I just it's not to think. I know that I got a lot of listeners out there who enjoy the tattoos and things. Don't think this at all. I got 3 tattoos, and like they cost X amount of dollars, and I'm like, I think I might just get a T-shirt. You know, like
No,
like,
I get it. I
But-
totally get it.
yeah, and it costs it costs money, and not only I've been trying to make more frugal decisions, but I also look at these tattoos that at the time I got them, I really wanted them and really thought I really want, and I wish I could take them away now.
Yeah.
So I don't want to have like some elaborate, really expensive piece that I really want right now that I won't be able to take off. Well, and I know that you can these days, but you know, if you're gonna do it,
Shit hurts though.
Who does that?
Who does
yeah,
that?
who does that? Like, I do it
Like,
for
I
the
just
pain.
got-
The
I
ink's
just
just
got-
a souvenir.
I just got that done, and it's
The bullhead.
yeah, it's but now I just want to show it off, so I like have to wear short shorts all the time. So
Roll Tide.
Indeed.
Well, that seems like a good place to. That seems like a good place to end it. I always give the opportunity for my guests to give suggestions of things to watch and listen to.
oh sweet,
So, give them 3 things to listen to or 3 things to watch.
Wes Anderson.
Yeah, anything by Wes Anderson.
Anything but Wes Anderson for sure. As far as listening to,
I've been on a Exile on Main Street kick here lately. So
Ryan Adams, Rolling Stones.
yeah. I was like,
I think not.
good.
I'm
That
serious.
was
I think
good.
Ryan Adams recorded a Exile on Main Street cover album. I think.
I would believe it. Ryan Adams
I would
is
have to like.
fucking cool that way.
Yeah.
I've kind of been all over the place lately, but I've been listening. I just got Erin Ray, her album, and it's called
ERIN or
ERINRAE.
okay.
I just got her new
Oh my
album,
God.
and I bought it from her out of her hands.
Shout out Aaron Ray.
Yeah. Putting on airs. And she is signed right now with John Paul White's record label
Yeah.
out of Alabama.
Roll Tide.
Yes, Roll Tide. And
He's a Roll Tide fan.
he's incredible. He saw her open for one of his friends and said he was just captivated by her voice and like her sound. She is so unique. And her new album it is very, very well done. And we got to meet her actually at the Gray Eagle in Asheville. We played up in Black Mountain, North Carolina a week or so ago, and she was at the Gray Eagle, and we
Missed her show
missed the
because
show because we were eating dim sum. And
Oh man.
yeah, but well, like we knew the show was going on, but we had seen the White Buffalo also. Listen to the White Buffalo.
Yes. Listen to the Aaron Ray, the White Buffalo.
Yeah, White Buffalo. Oh my God, Jake Smith, he's amazing.
Sweet Sweet just put out an album.
Yes, Sweet Sweet just put on.
Oh yeah, I've definitely.
into motion.
Yeah, but like
I've definitely suggested that
so
one.
at the White Buffalo show, the start time was a lot later, and I didn't even think about the fact that it was a Monday night, so we went and got dim sum, and I was like, we'll just go. She'll just be starting, and she was already done. And I rolled up in there, and I was like, look. And I talked to her. She talked to us for probably 15 minutes. She was so cool, so genuine, so sweet. And her album it's really good. It's
Do you know what it's
really-
called?
Putting on Airs.
Putting on errors or airs?
Airs. Yep. And
Like an heiress or a AIR.
AIRS, I believe.
I think so too.
It might be
Yeah,
AIRES.
she's. I don't know if there's an E. I'm not sure. There might be any. I'm not sure.
I'll Google it for descriptive purposes.
But yeah, she's great. She's really good.
As far as now, new.
Right
Yeah.
now, yeah, right now she's on tour, and she, like I said, she's on John Paul White's label, which, you know,
Yeah,
to me
he's
he
not-
can do no wrong.
Absolutely. And I love the Civil Wars. I remember seeing Joy Williams when she was still Joy Williams, like doing
Yes.
Christian music,
Yes.
like with New Song and Jars
Blonde
of Clay.
hair.
Yeah, like dancing around the stage.
Yeah,
Like New Song was her backup band.
yeah.
And Christian music people, which I don't know if there's a lot of you out
I-
there, but
I was a worship leader at Christ United for a while.
the third
So
day.
yeah, we
And-
did all that stuff, and but yeah, she and I love John Paul White too. Like his album, his first album that I really got into, the one with Alien on it.
I never listened to any of his solo stuff.
Oh God, you totally
only
need
heard
to.
the
I was
Civil
telling
Wars.
Michael Hooks the other day about his solo stuff, and his sound. So I think the majority of the sound of the Civil Wars is John Paul White. Like that's my take on it. Joy Williams is great. Like she's a wonderful, wonderful vocalist and pianist, but he had that sound before she came around.
Yeah, that rustic, just as
Yeah.
much as like Iron and Wine is Sam Bean.
Yeah, yes. So you've totally check out his album. He just put a new one out. All of the names are escaping me, but he names his albums different things. Like they're very different. But I do know the first album has a tree on the front of it. The second album, but it's John Paul White. Both of his albums. The one with Alien on it. Alien's one of my favorite songs, maybe ever. Probably like top 25.
John Paul White is a monster.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Well, any final thoughts, guys? Any words of wisdom to leave the fine listeners of My Stuff podcast with?
Thanks for listening. Thanks for having us, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here, guys. Seriously,
This is a beautiful thing.
This is a beautiful thing.
Thanks for doing your thing too, because it's pretty inspiring.
Well,
Yeah,
I
and
really
it's-
appreciate that.
It's like helping other people do their thing too, you know.
Well, I do this with those intentions. I don't. I've been through a lot of really dark places, which you guys have heard in episodes past. But just I want to prevent anybody else from going to those places because I've been there. I've walked through. I know I've got the map. You know, and I've pretty much laid it all out here. So. Thank you guys for listening. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening.
Y'all come out and see us sometime.
Come out and see Pearl. Where you guys gonna be? Where you guys gonna be playing over the next couple of weeks? Any like
We're with the
anything
Winchesters
noteworthy?
this week. On Friday we're with the Winchesters at the Warehouse in Conway, and then on Saturday we have a private party that we're doing in 96 South Carolina, and then we're with the Winchesters at Dead Dog on
Shout
Sunday.
out to the Boondocks.
Yeah. Middle of nowhere. But we're at Dead Dog on Sunday. And but you can follow us on Instagram, and there is a link in our bio to our website and schedule. So
Perlino Instagram.
yeah.
I'll leave I'll add a link
Cool.
to that to all of this stuff too.
Sweet.
And then the following weekend, we're in the upstate. Yeehaw Brewing in Greenville, Delaney's in Spartanburg.
How's that? I've heard a lot of good things about that place.
Delaney's?
I love Delaney's Irish
Delaney's
Pub,
is
and
our
Spartanburg
second
is
home.
our second home.
Really?
Not even kidding. I feel more comfortable there on that stage than I do at most of our stage stuff.
The longtime
Wow.
management recently, within the last year, took over. Like they bought the
They
place.
bought it.
And
And they're so cool.
they're such great people.
That's so good to
They
hear.
they got a good business
Two
going
husband and
there.
wife. Two husband and wives. Like, that own it now.
And they're
Two
as big a
couples.
fan as Jason Isbell is probably you'll
That
ever
you'll
met.
ever
Like
meet.
20, 30
Like-
times a year they go see him.
That's so badass to hear.
Yeah,
I see
they
a lot of really heady bands like playing those places, and we never got in there.
Yeah,
We go up
they're-
to do the North Carolina thing every now and again, like Blowing Rock and Boone, and make those rounds. But
Yeah, that would be super. I'd love to do that. Yeah, Delaney's they just book their own stuff, and Brian does it, and they love music, and it's a super cool place.
Yeah, shout out Josh Brandon for hooking that up.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Josh
Josh.
hooked that up.
Oh, JBB.
Yeah, man.
Y'all want to play in Spartanburg?
That was pretty good.
You can see
That was
him
pretty good.
and Greg Payne and the Piedmont Boys like every couple of Wednesdays they do.
Yeah, they do
do
a
a
pint
Wednesday
night.
night pint night down there.
I hear they drank a whole bottle of Jaeger.
That surprises nobody.
No. Shout out to all those guys.
Hell yeah, man.
Shout out to all you listeners, man.
Shout out to all you listeners. Well, thanks guys for being here. Thank you guys for listening. We're coming in at 2 hours and 23 minutes so far.
Jesus.
This is a good talk. And you know what? It feels like about 30 minutes.
Yeah.
I have no concept of time though.
I don't
so
That's
either. I
what's
was sitting
so-
here thinking about that earlier. I was like, dang, I'm like so comfortable. We're just like chatting it out.
Yeah.
Like,
But
this
it's
is
something that we should do as people, like as
Yeah.
friends. Like it's-
Absolutely.
and
so the
and
fact
nobody's
that
had a drink.
You can
like,
yeah.
you can do this. Like anybody can do this.
Anybody
and
can
you
do this, yeah.
share how you feel with people, and
You can do it off camera, out from
Yeah.
the microphone.
it's not,
I've
it's
Yeah.
just been
pretty wild.
I've been looking forward to this specifically to be able to sit here and like connect with you for a little bit. 'Cause
Well,
just-
I have
'cause
been looking forward for the same reason.
I don't know, man.
We're going to do this
Love
more
each other,
often.
people.
Man, I love the shit out of y'all. Goodness. All right, listeners, that's all we got for you today. Perlino, gonna give you some Instagram links for that. Do the Facebook things. What you got to do, guys? Do the Facebook. We're gonna get you individual. We want you to know who these people are because they're beautiful, amazing people who save cats on the side of the road in the middle of the night. Like, these are the best people in the world. I'm just here to let you know. Thank you for listening, listeners. Peace, bitches. All right, now we're still hot on the video here. So, everybody wave. Bye, YouTube world.